Hey everyone, tonight we embark upon one of the greatest tales of tactical brilliance and tragic downfall ever told in a galaxy far, far away. The final chapter of Grand Admiral Thrawn's campaign against the New Republic. A blue-skinned genius whose strategic mind could read the soul of entire civilizations through their art, whose crimson eyes saw patterns where others saw only chaos, and whose ultimate gambit would either restore the Empire or destroy it utterly. This is the story of brilliant minds locked in a cosmic chess match, where every move carries the weight of billions of lives, and where the price of victory may be too terrible to bear. So before we begin this epic journey, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe if you genuinely enjoy these deep dives into the legends of Star Wars. I notice that about 86% of you who watch these stories haven't subscribed yet, and your subscription really does help me continue bringing you these cinematic tales from across the galaxy. If you're drawn to other legendary sagas, I invite you to explore my new channel, The Raven's Tales, where we delve into the mysteries and legends of Westeros. You'll find the link waiting in the description below. Drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're listening from and what time it is in your corner of the galaxy. There's something wonderfully connecting about knowing we're all sharing this moment together, whether you're watching under the midnight stars of Australia or during the quiet dawn hours in Europe. Now settle in comfortably, dim those lights, and let us journey back to those final crucial days when the fate of the galaxy hung by the thinnest of threads. In the depths of space, near the shipyards of Bilbringi, something unprecedented was about to unfold. The last Imperial Star Destroyer Chimera hung motionless against the starfield, its hull gleaming like polished death. Upon its bridge stood a figure whose very presence had struck fear into the hearts of Republic commanders for 5 long years. Grand Admiral Thrawn, last of the Emperor's chosen, turned from the viewport where he had been studying the tactical displays. His glowing red eyes held a secret that would reshape everything the galaxy thought it knew about the Force, about destiny, about the thin line between genius and madness. In his hand, he held a single piece of art, a sculpture whose origins stretched back to the old Republic itself, and in that ancient artifact, he had discovered something that would either crown him as the Empire's savior or mark him as its final casualty. But what had he found in those carved lines and ancient forms? What secret had driven him to stake everything on one last impossible gambit? The answer lies in a tale that spans worlds and souls, where loyalty becomes betrayal, where servants become masters, and where the greatest tactical mind in galactic history would meet his match in the most unexpected of places. 5 years have passed since the second Death Star exploded above the forest moon of Endor, its destruction marking what many believed would be the Empire's final breath. Yet, like a dying star that burns brightest before its collapse, the Imperial remnant has found new life under the command of the last Grand Admiral, a Chiss warrior whose tactical brilliance has transformed scattered defeat into methodical resurgence. The galaxy trembles on the edge of a knife. The New Republic, still tender in its newfound freedom, struggles to hold together worlds that have known nothing but Imperial rule for decades. On distant Coruscant, former Imperial center, the great city planet bears the scars of transition. Alien species walk openly through corridors once reserved for humans alone, while in the shadows, Imperial loyalists plot their return to power. But it is not on Coruscant where our tale truly begins. Far from the political chambers and diplomatic negotiations, in the quiet corners of Republic intelligence, dedicated analysts work tirelessly to understand their most dangerous enemy. You are one such analyst, a specialist in Imperial tactical doctrine, assigned to the most crucial case of your career. Your name has been whispered in the halls of Mon Calamari command centers and Corellian intelligence networks. You are the one who first recognized the patterns in Thrawn's seemingly random strikes across the Outer Rim, While others dismissed his early campaigns as desperate raids, you saw the deeper strategy, the way each victory fed into a larger design that stretched across star systems like an invisible web. Your workspace aboard the Mon Calamari cruiser Independence reflects years of dedicated study. Holographic displays flicker with tactical analyses, their blue light casting shadows across walls covered with star charts marked in red where Thrawn has struck. The air carries the distinctive salt tang of Mon Calamari life support systems, a constant reminder that you serve aboard vessels designed by a species that knows intimately the cost of Imperial oppression. Admiral Akbar himself selected you for this assignment after your breakthrough analysis of the Sluis Van shipyard raid. The great Mon Calamari commander, his salmon-colored skin bearing the wisdom of countless battles, recognized in your work something that gave him hope. Where others saw only Thrawn's tactical genius, you had begun to perceive the deeper currents that drove the Grand Admiral's campaign. Your primary companion in this investigation is Commander Hiram Drayson of Republic Intelligence, a former Imperial officer whose defection brought invaluable insight into the Empire's inner workings. Drayson's weathered face tells the story of a man who has seen too much, who carries the weight of past allegiances transformed into present purpose. His knowledge of Imperial protocols and command structures has proven essential in decoding the fragments of intelligence that filter through Republic networks. Late at night, when the Independence drifts through hyperspace between assignments, you pore over intercepted Imperial communications with Dr. Tian Solusar, a Force-sensitive historian whose unique gifts allow her to perceive echoes of the past in ancient artifacts. Her pale hair gleams silver in the hologram light as she shares fragments of Jedi lore that might explain Thrawn's recent interest in archaeological sites across the galaxy. The evidence scattered across your displays tells a troubling story. Thrawn's forces have been systematically visiting worlds rich in Old Republic history, places where ancient Jedi temples once stood, or where significant Force events occurred millennia ago. Each raid appears tactical on the surface, targeting military installations or strategic resources, but the pattern suggests something deeper. There are whispers from the unknown regions, reports filtered through smuggler networks and refugee testimonies of massive construction projects in star systems that exist on no Republic charts. Rumors speak of ships emerging from hyperspace routes that should be impossible to navigate, bearing the distinctive arrowhead silhouettes of Imperial star destroyers, but moving with a coordination that suggests fleet actions on a scale not seen since the Emperor's death. Most disturbing of all are the fragmentary reports of Force-sensitive individuals disappearing from worlds along the galaxy's edge, not captured or killed, simply vanishing without trace, as if the very Force itself had spirited them away to destinations unknown. Tonight, as stellar cartography updates flow across your screens and the distant hum of the hyperdrive provides its familiar rhythm, you prepare to delve deeper into the mystery that has consumed your thoughts for months. For somewhere in the tactical genius of Grand Admiral Thrawn lies a secret that could reshape the very foundations of galactic civilization. The breakthrough came during your analysis of captured Imperial supply manifests, documents so mundane that most intelligence officers dismissed them as administrative trivia. Yet within those endless lists of rations, fuel cells, and replacement parts, you discovered something that made your blood freeze in recognition. Shipments to coordinates that matched no known Imperial facility, requisitions for biological containment equipment, and most telling of all, repeated references to a project designation that appeared nowhere in standard Imperial records. Mount Tantiss. The name itself carried weight in the oldest Republic archives, mentioned in fragmentary reports from the Clone Wars era as a site of scientific research, so classified that even Jedi generals were denied access. According to legend, it was a mountain stronghold where the most dangerous experiments of the Old Republic took place, projects that pushed the boundaries of what was considered ethical even in wartime. Your investigation led you deep into the restricted archives aboard the Independence, where Commander Drayson's clearance codes granted access to files that few Republic citizens had ever seen. Within those sealed records, you found references to Emperor Palpatine's personal interest in ancient Sith strongholds and forgotten laboratories. The pattern was unmistakable. Wherever the dark side had once flourished, wherever the ancient enemies of the Jedi had conducted their most twisted research, there you found evidence of Imperial archaeological teams working in the months before Endor. Dr. Tion's Force sensitivity proved invaluable as she examined these historical fragments. Her eyes would unfocus as she touched the data crystals, her consciousness reaching back through time to glimpse the echoes of events long past. Through her visions, you learned that Mount Tantiss was more than just a research facility. It was a nexus, a place where the Force itself seemed to bend and twist in ways that defied natural law. The mountain's unique properties had drawn both Jedi and Sith over the millennia, each hoping to unlock secrets that lay buried in its crystalline heart. The pieces began forming a picture that defied belief. Intelligence reports from the unknown region spoke of Imperial fleets emerging from hyperspace with perfect timing, their arrival coordinates calculated with a precision that suggested advanced knowledge of Republic fleet movements. Captured stormtroopers displayed skills and coordination that exceeded anything seen during the Empire's height, yet their genetic markers showed inconsistencies that puzzled Republic medics. Admiral Akbar himself joined your briefings as the implications became clear. The great Mon Calamari strategist listened with growing alarm as you presented evidence of a secret that had remained hidden even from the Emperor's closest advisors. Mount Tantiss was not merely a research station, it was a factory, a production facility where the most ambitious project in galactic history was taking shape beneath layers of secrecy so profound that its existence challenged everything the Republic thought it knew about Imperial capabilities. The facility's location on Wayland, a world shrouded in the unknown regions beyond conventional hyperspace routes, made direct observation impossible. Yet refugee reports from the sector painted a disturbing picture. Travelers spoke of ships arriving and departing on schedules that seemed to follow no logical pattern, of construction projects that had transformed the planetary surface, of energy signatures that suggested industrial activity on a scale that dwarfed even the Death Star project. Your team's analysis of captured Imperial probe droids revealed modifications that had never appeared in technical manuals. Their sensor arrays had been enhanced with technology that seemed to blend Imperial engineering with principles that belonged more to ancient Jedi archives than modern military doctrine. Most disturbing were the organic components, biological elements integrated into mechanical systems in ways that suggested experimentation with life itself. Commander Drayson's contacts in the Imperial defector network provided fragments of intelligence that painted an even more troubling picture. Former Imperial officers spoke in whispers of orders that came from sources they could not identify, of personnel reassignments to destinations that appeared on no star charts, of research projects that combined military necessity with scientific curiosity in ways that pushed the boundaries of Imperial ethics. The breakthrough came when Dr. Tion discovered references to Mount Tantiss in Jedi historical records that predated the Republic itself. Ancient texts spoke of a place where the boundary between life and death became fluid, where the Force could be channeled to achieve feats that violated the natural order. The mountain's crystalline structure acted as both amplifier and focus, allowing Force users to manipulate biological processes with a precision that bordered on the miraculous. Yet the records also carried warnings. Every attempt to harness Mount Tantiss's power had ended in corruption and madness. The Force, when bent beyond its natural limitations, exacted a price that few were prepared to pay. The ancient Jedi had sealed the mountain's laboratories and declared the site forbidden, recognizing that some knowledge was too dangerous to preserve. Emperor Palpatine, however, had never been deterred by Jedi prohibitions. Your investigation revealed that Imperial archaeological teams had been systematically exploring Sith sites throughout the galaxy, searching for clues to locations that the Jedi had tried to erase from history. Mount Tantiss represented the culmination of that search, a prize so valuable that the Emperor had hidden its existence even from his most trusted servants. The facility's purpose became clear. As you pieced together fragments from multiple sources, Mount Tantiss was a cloning laboratory, but one that operated on principles far beyond anything achieved during the Clone Wars. The mountain's unique force properties allowed for acceleration of biological processes that should have taken decades. More than simple duplication, the facility promised the ability to create enhanced beings, individuals whose capabilities exceeded natural limitations. Admiral Akbar's strategic mind immediately grasped the implications. If Thrawn had gained access to such technology, the Empire's recent resurgence took on an entirely different character. The tactical brilliance that had marked Imperial operations might not represent the Grand Admiral's genius alone, but the coordinated efforts of multiple minds working in perfect synchronization. The possibility that Thrawn had created copies of himself, each possessing his strategic abilities while serving as independent commanders, transformed the nature of the conflict entirely. Your investigation also revealed disturbing reports of Force-sensitive individuals being taken to unknown destinations throughout the galaxy. Imperial raids that appeared to target military installations often coincided with the disappearance of local Force users, as if their capture was a secondary objective that received equal priority with strategic goals. The pattern suggested systematic collection of genetic material or living subjects for purposes that remained hidden. Dr. Tuanay's Force visions provided glimpses of the mountain facility's interior, images that filled her with dread, even in their fragmentary state. She spoke of corridors lined with cylindrical chambers, each filled with a cloudy liquid that seemed to pulse with its own life. The chambers contained forms that were almost human, beings suspended in artificial sleep while their bodies developed according to predetermined patterns. Most disturbing were her visions of the facility's guardian, a presence that seemed to radiate madness and power in equal measure. This figure commanded the mountain's defenses and oversaw its operations with an authority that suggested intimate knowledge of both Imperial protocol and ancient Force techniques. Yet something in its thoughts resonated with corruption, as if prolonged exposure to the mountain's twisted energies had fundamentally altered its nature. The evidence painted a picture of ambition that exceeded even Emperor Palpatine's grandiose schemes. Mount Tantiss represented an attempt to transcend the limitations of mortality itself, to create beings who combined the best qualities of multiple individuals while serving the Empire's needs without question or hesitation. The facility's products would be perfect soldiers, flawless administrators, ideal servants who lacked the capacity for betrayal or doubt. Yet your analysis also revealed the project's fundamental flaw. The ancient Jedi warnings about Mount Tantiss carried wisdom that Imperial arrogance had chosen to ignore. The mountain's power came with a price that grew more severe with each use. The Force, when perverted from its natural course, would eventually demand payment in ways that no amount of preparation could anticipate. As you prepared to delve deeper into the mystery of Mount Tantiss, a troubling realization emerged from your research. The facility had been operational for years before the Empire's defeat at Endor, yet its products had never appeared in Imperial forces during that conflict. If Thrawn possessed access to enhanced beings and accelerated cloning technology, why had he waited until now to deploy them? What strategic consideration had kept the Grand Admiral from using his most powerful weapons during the Republic's most vulnerable period? The answer to that question promised to reveal not only the scope of Thrawn's current campaign, but the true nature of the threat that the galaxy now faced. For if the Grand Admiral had chosen to preserve his ultimate weapons for a specific moment, the Republic might be facing an enemy whose capabilities exceeded their darkest fears. Your team's investigation took a dramatic turn when Republic intelligence intercepted Imperial communications from the Corellian system, messages that contained references to biological specimens being transported under conditions of absolute secrecy. The coded transmissions used Imperial ciphers that predated the Emperor's death, suggesting that Thrawn had access to communication protocols reserved for the highest levels of Imperial command. The decryption process required Dr. Tian to employ her unique abilities, using the Force to perceive patterns in seemingly random data streams. As she meditated over the encrypted files, her consciousness touched something that made her recoil in horror. The communications carried traces of darkness that seemed to pulse with malevolent intelligence, as if the very act of encoding them had been influenced by Force powers twisted beyond recognition. Within those decoded messages lay evidence that shattered your understanding of Imperial capabilities. References to accelerated maturation cycles spoke of biological processes that compressed decades of development into months or even weeks. Technical specifications for containment systems described equipment designed to support multiple consciousness streams within single biological matrices. Most disturbing were the psychological profiles that accompanied each subject designation, analyses of personality traits and behavioral patterns that suggested intimate knowledge of individuals who should have been beyond Imperial reach. Commander Drayson's analysis of the supporting documentation revealed a network of facilities that extended far beyond Mount Tantiss itself. Supply chains connected the mountain laboratory to research stations scattered throughout the unknown regions, each specializing in different aspects of what appeared to be the most ambitious biological engineering project in galactic history. The scope of the operation suggested resources and planning that must have been in development for years before Palpatine's death. Your breakthrough came during analysis of captured Imperial probe data from archaeological sites across the galaxy. The probes had been systematically scanning locations where significant Force events had occurred throughout history, mapping residual energy patterns with equipment that combined Imperial technology with principles drawn from ancient Jedi archives. The data revealed that certain locations possessed unique properties that could be harnessed to accelerate biological processes beyond natural limitations. These archaeological surveys had been conducted with surgical precision, targeting sites where the Force itself seemed to resonate with unusual intensity. Battlefields where great Jedi had fallen, temples where Sith Lords had conducted their darkest rituals, locations where the boundary between life and death had been tested by powers beyond conventional understanding. Each site possessed characteristics that made it suitable for different aspects of the cloning process. Dr. Tian's examination of the probe data revealed disturbing correlations between the surveyed locations and ancient Sith experiments with consciousness transfer. The archaeological evidence suggested that Imperial researchers had discovered techniques for preserving mental patterns beyond biological death, methods that allowed personality and memory to be implanted in artificial bodies with perfect fidelity. The implications were staggering, suggesting that death itself might no longer represent an absolute barrier to Imperial ambitions. Admiral Akbar authorized expanded surveillance of Imperial shipping routes based on your team's findings, revealing a pattern of activity that had previously escaped Republic attention. Convoys moved between unknown destinations along hyperspace routes that appeared on no standard navigation charts, their timing coordinated with a precision that suggested centralized command authority. The ships themselves had been modified with shielding that made them nearly invisible to conventional sensors, allowing them to operate throughout Republic space without detection. The most significant discovery came when your analysis team identified genetic markers in biological samples recovered from Imperial raid sites. The markers corresponded to individuals who had been reported dead months or even years earlier, yet the cellular structures showed characteristics consistent with accelerated growth patterns. The evidence suggested that Imperial forces included beings who possessed the memories and personalities of deceased individuals, recreated through technology that exceeded anything achieved during the Clone Wars. Your investigation into Imperial personnel records revealed systematic gaps that aligned perfectly with the timeline of Mount Tantiss operations. Key military commanders, brilliant scientists, and skilled administrators had been quietly removed from active duty and reassigned to classified projects that left no trace in standard Imperial documentation. These individuals possessed expertise that would be essential for managing large-scale cloning operations, from genetic engineering to psychological conditioning. Commander Drayson's network of Imperial defectors provided fragments of testimony that painted a disturbing picture of life within the secret facilities. Former technicians spoke of laboratories where beings were grown in artificial environments that simulated natural development while compressing timeframes beyond belief. The process required constant monitoring by specialists who understood both biological sciences and force manipulation, creating a fusion of technology and mysticism that challenged conventional understanding of what was possible. To Dr. Tyen's force visions revealed glimpses of the mountain facility's deeper levels, chambers where the boundaries between individual consciousness became fluid and indistinct. She spoke of sensing multiple minds existing within single biological forms, personalities that retained complete memories of their original lives while serving new purposes determined by Imperial objectives. The psychological implications were staggering, suggesting that death and individuality might no longer represent absolute concepts in Imperial strategic planning. Your team's analysis of Imperial tactical patterns revealed coordination that exceeded the capabilities of any single commander, no matter how brilliant. Fleet movements across multiple sectors showed synchronization that suggested instantaneous communication or shared consciousness among field commanders. Battle strategies evolved in real time based on information that should have been impossible to gather and analyze within conventional timeframes. The evidence pointed toward a transformation in Imperial military doctrine that went far beyond improved training or superior equipment. The Empire appeared to have developed methods for creating perfect soldiers who combined the best qualities of multiple individuals while maintaining absolute loyalty to Imperial objectives. These beings possessed not only the technical skills needed for complex military operations, but the strategic insight required for independent command decisions. Most troubling was the discovery of psychological conditioning protocols that ensured complete obedience while preserving individual creativity and initiative. Unlike the crude behavioral modifications used on conventional stormtroopers, these techniques created beings who served Imperial goals through genuine conviction rather than programmed responses. The result was military personnel who combined perfect loyalty with independent thought, creating a force that could adapt to changing circumstances while never questioning fundamental objectives. Your investigation also revealed evidence of systematic replacement operations within Republic territory. Individuals in key positions throughout government and military hierarchies showed subtle behavioral changes that coincided with Imperial activity in their sectors. Medical examinations revealed genetic inconsistencies that suggested sophisticated biological manipulation, replacement of original personalities with enhanced versions that maintained surface characteristics while serving hidden agendas. The scope of Imperial infiltration became clear as your team identified network patterns among the compromised individuals. They occupied positions that provided access to Republic strategic planning, communication systems, and resource allocation protocols. Their coordinated activities suggested central command authority that transcended normal Imperial chain of command structures, implying direct connection to whatever intelligence guided Mount Tantiss operations. Dr. Tyen's analysis of force resonance patterns around confirmed infiltrators revealed traces of artificial enhancement that disturbed her deeply. These beings possessed force sensitivity that felt wrong somehow, as if their connection to the cosmic energy had been artificially imposed rather than naturally developed. Their presence created disturbances in the force that made sensitive individuals uncomfortable, suggesting fundamental alterations to their essential nature. Admiral Akbar's strategic assessment recognized that the Republic faced a threat unlike anything in galactic history. If Imperial forces included enhanced beings who combined multiple lifetimes of experience with perfect coordination and absolute loyalty, conventional military doctrine would prove inadequate. The enemy possessed advantages that went beyond superior numbers or advanced technology, representing a fundamental transformation in the nature of warfare itself. Your team's final discovery came through analysis of communication patterns between suspected infiltrators and unknown Imperial command authorities. The messages used encryption methods that suggested instantaneous transmission across galactic distances, implying technology that exceeded known Imperial capabilities. More disturbing was evidence that some communications occurred without physical transmission methods, suggesting direct mental connection between individuals separated by vast distances. The implications of these discoveries created a crisis that extended far beyond military considerations. If Imperial forces possessed the ability to create perfect duplicates of any individual, equipped with enhanced capabilities and absolute loyalty, the very concepts of identity and free will became subject to question. The Republic faced an enemy that could undermine society itself by making citizens doubt the authenticity of those around them. As your investigation prepared to delve deeper into the mystery of Imperial enhancement programs, a chilling realization emerged. The evidence suggested that Mount Tantiss represented only the beginning of a transformation that would ultimately encompass every aspect of galactic civilization. Thrawn's tactical genius, combined with technology that transcended natural limitations, pointed toward an Imperial resurgence that would be far more dangerous than the Republic's darkest fears had anticipated. The name Joru Skirbath first appeared in your investigation through fragmentary reports from the unknown regions, testimony from traders and refugees who spoke of a powerful force user commanding Imperial installations with absolute authority. Initial analysis suggested a straightforward scenario that Republic intelligence found disturbingly familiar. Another Dark Jedi had emerged from hiding to serve Imperial ambitions, using Force powers to enhance military operations through methods that the Jedi Order would have condemned. Your team's preliminary assessment painted Korbath as a survivor from the Jedi Purge who had embraced the dark side in exchange for power and position within the Imperial hierarchy. The pattern matched dozens of similar cases documented since the Empire's rise, Force-sensitive individuals who had traded their principles for survival and influence. His apparent madness seemed consistent with prolonged exposure to dark side corruption, the inevitable result of using the Force for domination rather than service. Intelligence reports from Imperial defectors described Skirbath as unstable and megalomaniacal, prone to grandiose speeches about rebuilding the Jedi Order under his personal guidance. His demands for Force-sensitive apprentices appeared to follow standard Sith recruitment patterns, gathering potential students to expand his influence and perpetuate dark side traditions. The surface evidence suggested another fallen Jedi, whose corruption had progressed to complete insanity. Commander Dracen's analysis of captured Imperial communications revealed Korbath's growing influence within Thrawn's command structure, authority that seemed disproportionate to his apparent contributions to military operations. The Dark Jedi made demands that Imperial officers accepted without question, requisitions for resources that served no obvious tactical purpose. His quarters aboard Imperial vessels received modifications that accommodated exotic equipment whose function remained mysterious to conventional military analysts. Dr. Tium's Force sensitivity provided disturbing insights into Korbath's nature that contradicted the simple madman hypothesis. When she attempted to perceive his presence through the Force, she encountered something that made her consciousness recoil in confusion and fear. His Force signature carried characteristics that felt fundamentally wrong, as if his connection to the cosmic energy had been altered in ways that violated natural law. Your investigation into Korbath's background revealed discrepancies that challenged the accepted explanation of his identity and motivations. Historical records from the Jedi archives describe Joruus Krybath as a respected master who had died decades before the Clone Wars, his death confirmed by multiple witnesses and documented in official temple records. The appearance of Joruus Krybath with his identical name and similar appearance suggested possibilities that Republic intelligence found deeply troubling. The evidence pointed toward a deception that went far beyond simple identity confusion. Genetic analysis of biological samples associated with Krybath showed markers consistent with artificial acceleration of cellular development, patterns that matched those discovered in other specimens linked to Mount Tantiss operations. The implications suggested that the Dark Jedi might not be a survivor from the past, but rather a creation of Imperial cloning technology. Medical reports from Imperial facilities described Krybath's unusual physiological characteristics, abnormalities that suggested enhancement beyond natural human limitations. His reflexes operated at speeds that exceeded normal Force user capabilities, while his endurance during extended Force manipulation sessions surpassed anything documented in Jedi archives. These improvements appeared to result from biological modification rather than natural development or training. Your team's analysis of tactical communications revealed that C'baoth's battlefield coordination abilities exceeded those of conventional Force users by significant margins. He demonstrated capacity to simultaneously influence multiple Imperial units across vast distances, maintaining mental connections that should have been impossible given known limitations of Force telepathy. The scope of his influence suggested enhancement through technological means rather than natural Force development. Dr. Tuyun's deeper examination of Force resonance patterns around C'baoth revealed fundamental abnormalities in his connection to the cosmic energy. Her visions showed him drawing power through methods that bypassed normal channels, accessing dark side energy through artificial conduits that had been implanted in his consciousness. The modifications allowed him to wield Force powers without suffering the gradual corruption that typically accompanied dark side use. Intelligence reports from Imperial personnel described C'baoth's behavior as erratic but purposeful madness that served specific objectives rather than random insanity. His demands for Force-sensitive individuals followed patterns that suggested systematic collection rather than arbitrary recruitment. The apprentices he gathered were subjected to training regimens that combined traditional dark side techniques with procedures that seemed designed to prepare them for specific purposes. Commander Drayson's network revealed disturbing testimony from Imperial technicians who had worked in facilities where C'baoth conducted his training programs. They described chambers equipped with technology that seemed to blend biological support systems with Force amplification equipment, creating environments where normal limitations of consciousness and identity became fluid. The apprentices who emerged from these sessions showed characteristics that suggested fundamental alteration of their essential nature. Your investigation uncovered evidence that C'baoth's madness served as camouflage for intelligence that operated according to logic invisible to conventional analysis. His apparently random demands consistently resulted in strategic advantages for Imperial operations, while his unstable behavior concealed systematic pursuit of objectives that aligned perfectly with Thrawn's long-term planning. The madman facade provided cover for activities that would have attracted immediate Republic attention if conducted openly. The pattern of C'baoth's Force-sensitive recruitment revealed geographic clustering around locations that possessed unique characteristics identified in Imperial archaeological surveys. The individuals he collected came from worlds where the Force resonated with unusual intensity, places where the boundary between life and death had been tested by ancient powers. Their genetic profiles showed markers that suggested potential for enhancement through the same acceleration techniques used in Mount Tantiss operations. Dr. Tian's analysis of historical records revealed that the original Joruus C'baoth had been involved in experimental research projects during his lifetime, studies that pushed the boundaries of accepted Jedi practice. His work with consciousness transfer and biological manipulation had attracted criticism from the Jedi Council, eventually leading to restrictions on his research activities. The knowledge he had accumulated made him an ideal candidate for recreation through Imperial cloning technology. Your team discovered that C'baoth's apparent insanity might represent a calculated performance designed to mask his true capabilities and objectives. Imperial communications contained subtle references to contingency plans that required his cooperation, suggesting that his role extended far beyond simple military support. The Dark Jedi appeared to serve functions that were essential to Thrawn's ultimate strategy, purposes that remained hidden beneath layers of deception and misdirection. Medical analysis of biological samples linked to C'baoth revealed genetic modifications that went beyond simple enhancement alterations that suggested attempts to create hybrid consciousness that combined multiple personality matrices. The evidence pointed toward experimental procedures that merged the memories and capabilities of different individuals, creating beings who possessed accumulated knowledge and experience that exceeded normal human limitations. Intelligence reports described C'baoth's interactions with Imperial personnel as manipulative but purposeful psychological conditioning that served to advance specific agendas while maintaining the appearance of random madness. His influence over military commanders extended beyond simple force persuasion, suggesting mental conditioning that created lasting changes in their thought patterns and behavioral responses. Your investigation revealed that C'baoth's demands for apprentices correlated with Imperial operations that required force-sensitive personnel for purposes that remained classified at the highest levels of command. The individuals he collected possessed specific genetic markers and psychological profiles that made them suitable for procedures that combined biological enhancement with force manipulation, creating beings who could serve roles that normal Imperial personnel could not fulfill. The evidence suggested that C'baoth's madness concealed a sophisticated understanding of Imperial objectives that exceeded the knowledge possessed by conventional military commanders. His strategic insights contributed to Thrawn's tactical planning in ways that suggested access to information sources beyond normal intelligence-gathering methods. The Dark Jedi appeared to perceive patterns and possibilities that remained invisible to rational analysis. Dr. Tayan's Force visions revealed glimpses of C'baoth's true nature that contradicted every assumption about his identity and motivations. She perceived him as a composite being, whose consciousness contained fragments of multiple personalities, individuals whose memories and capabilities had been merged through technology that violated every principle of natural development. The result was an entity that possessed accumulated wisdom and power while remaining fundamentally unstable due to the artificial nature of its creation. As your team prepared to investigate deeper layers of the Imperial deception, a troubling realization emerged from the evidence. But C'baoth's madness might not represent failure of Imperial cloning technology, but rather its greatest success. If the Empire had developed methods for creating beings who combined the capabilities of multiple individuals while concealing their true nature beneath convincing facades, the Republic faced threats that extended far beyond conventional military considerations. Republic intelligence achieved its greatest breakthrough when a damaged Imperial probe droid was recovered from the Corellian system. Its memory banks containing fragments of data that would revolutionize your understanding of Grand Admiral Thrawn's strategic methodology. The probe carried encrypted files that, when decoded by Dr. Tayan's Force-enhanced perception, revealed detailed psychological profiles of Republic military leaders based on their artistic preferences and cultural backgrounds. The scope of Thrawn's analysis exceeded anything documented in conventional military intelligence. His files contained comprehensive assessments of individual Republic commanders that went far beyond tactical capabilities, exploring personal motivations, psychological weaknesses, and decision-making patterns derived from studying their species' artistic traditions. The Grand Admiral had created predictive models that anticipated enemy behavior with accuracy that bordered on precognition. Your team's examination of these psychological profiles revealed methodologies that challenged fundamental assumptions about strategic planning. Thrawn's approach treated warfare as an extension of cultural expression, viewing each battle as a manifestation of deeper philosophical principles that governed entire civilizations. His tactical decisions reflected understanding of enemy psychology that allowed him to anticipate responses with precision that seemed almost supernatural. Commander Drayson's analysis of the probe's technical specifications revealed modifications that had never appeared in Imperial engineering manuals. The device incorporated scanning equipment designed to analyze artistic works and cultural artifacts with the same precision normally reserved for military installations. Data processing capabilities had been enhanced to handle complex pattern recognition tasks that required simultaneous analysis of multiple cultural variables. The probe's memory contained detailed scans of artistic works from across the galaxy, each piece accompanied by extensive analysis of its psychological and cultural significance. Thrawn had been systematically cataloging the artistic heritage of every species within Republic territory, building a comprehensive database that allowed him to predict behavior patterns at both individual and civilizational levels. Dr. Tion's force sensitivity allowed her to perceive deeper layers within the artistic analysis that conventional examination missed. The Grand Admiral's methodology incorporated principles that seemed to blend scientific observation with intuitive understanding, creating hybrid approaches that transcended traditional boundaries between rational analysis and mystical insight. His appreciation for beauty served strategic purposes that elevated warfare to the level of high art. Your investigation revealed that Thrawn's private quarters aboard the Chimera had been transformed into a gallery that rivaled the greatest museums in the galaxy. Holographic displays showcased masterworks from hundreds of different species, each piece selected for its ability to reveal fundamental characteristics of its creator's psychological makeup. The collection served as both aesthetic experience and tactical resource, beauty and function united in perfect synthesis. Intelligence reports from Imperial defectors described viewing sessions where Thrawn would spend hours contemplating single pieces, his glowing red eyes reflecting the interplay of light and shadow as he absorbed insights that shaped his strategic planning. These meditative periods seemed to generate tactical innovations that confounded Republic commanders, solutions that emerged from synthesis of artistic analysis and military necessity. The probe data revealed that Thrawn's interest in art extended beyond simple psychological profiling. His collection included pieces that seemed to resonate with Force energy, works created by artists who possessed sensitivity to cosmic currents that influenced galactic events. The Grand Admiral had developed methods for perceiving these subtle influences, using artistic expression to access information that remained hidden from conventional intelligence gathering. Your team discovered that Thrawn's tactical innovations often emerged after periods of intense artistic contemplation, suggesting that his strategic insights derived from sources beyond rational analysis. His ability to anticipate enemy movements seemed to result from synthesis of cultural understanding and intuitive perception, creating hybrid methodologies that combined scientific rigor with mystical awareness. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial communication logs revealed that Thrawn frequently consulted his art collection before making crucial strategic decisions. The Grand Admiral would isolate himself in his private gallery, surrounded by holographic masterworks that represented the psychological essence of his enemies. These sessions generated tactical plans that demonstrated understanding of opponent's psychology that exceeded anything achieved through conventional analysis. The evidence suggested that Thrawn's appreciation for artistic beauty served purposes that went far beyond personal enjoyment or cultural enrichment. His collection functioned as a tactical resource that provided insights into enemy behavior patterns, allowing him to predict responses with accuracy that gave Imperial forces decisive advantages in every engagement. Art became weapon, beauty transformed into strategic asset. Dr. Tion's analysis of force resonance patterns around Thrawn's art collection revealed subtle energies that seemed to enhance perception and understanding. The pieces had been selected not only for their cultural significance, but for their ability to focus cosmic currents in ways that amplified the observer's capacity for insight. The Grand Admiral had created an environment that enhanced his natural analytical abilities through mystical means he might not fully understand. Your investigation uncovered evidence that Thrawn's methods influenced Imperial personnel throughout his command structure. Officers who served under the Grand Admiral began demonstrating enhanced tactical awareness and cultural sensitivity that exceeded their previous capabilities. Exposure to his analytical techniques seemed to expand their capacity for strategic thinking, creating cascading improvements in Imperial military effectiveness. Intelligence reports described transformation in Imperial forces that went beyond improved training or superior equipment. Personnel who had served under Thrawn's command showed enhanced ability to anticipate enemy actions and adapt to changing battlefield conditions. Their tactical innovations reflected understanding of cultural psychology that had been absent from Imperial doctrine during the Emperor's reign. The probe's memory banks contained evidence of systematic cultural research that extended throughout the unknown regions, surveys of artistic traditions among species that remained outside Republic contact. Thrawn had been building comprehensive understanding of galactic civilization that encompassed cultures unknown to conventional intelligence services, knowledge that provided strategic advantages that the Republic could not counter. Your team's analysis revealed that the Grand Admiral's artistic methodology incorporated principles drawn from ancient Jedi techniques for perceiving the flow of the Force through cultural expression. His ability to read psychological patterns in artistic works reflected training or natural aptitude that approached Force sensitivity, though he appeared to lack direct connection to cosmic energy that characterized true Force users. Commander Drayson's investigation of Imperial archaeological surveys revealed systematic collection of artistic works from sites where significant Force events had occurred throughout galactic history. Thrawn had been gathering pieces that carried residual energy from moments when the Force itself had shaped civilizational development, creating a collection that functioned as both museum and mystical focus. The evidence pointed toward strategic capabilities that transcended conventional military analysis, suggesting that Thrawn possessed methods for accessing information through channels that remained hidden from Republic intelligence. His tactical innovations emerged from synthesis of rational observation and intuitive insight, creating hybrid approaches that gave Imperial forces advantages that could not be countered through traditional means. Dr. Tion's Force visions revealed glimpses of the Grand Admiral's private moments with his art collection, scenes that showed him achieving states of contemplative focus that approached meditative trance. His consciousness seemed to merge with the cultural currents represented in the pieces, allowing him to perceive patterns and possibilities that remained invisible to conventional analysis. Your investigation discovered that Thrawn's artistic interests had influenced Imperial research into consciousness enhancement and psychological conditioning techniques. Military programs designed to improve tactical awareness incorporated elements derived from his cultural analysis methods, creating training regimens that expanded officer capabilities through exposure to controlled artistic experiences. The probe data contained references to experimental programs that attempted to replicate Thrawn's analytical abilities in other Imperial personnel through technological enhancement and psychological conditioning. These efforts suggested recognition that the Grand Admiral's methods represented breakthrough approaches to strategic thinking that could revolutionize military doctrine if successfully transferred to subordinate commanders. Intelligence reports from the unknown regions described Imperial facilities where officers underwent training that combined traditional military instruction with intensive exposure to artistic works selected according to Thrawn's methodology. The programs produced personnel who demonstrated enhanced cultural awareness and tactical insight, though none achieved the Grand Admiral's level of analytical capability. As your team prepared to investigate the deeper implications of Thrawn's artistic approach to warfare, a disturbing possibility emerged from the evidence. If the Grand Admiral had discovered methods for accessing strategic information through mystical channels that transcended conventional intelligence gathering, the Republic faced an enemy whose capabilities exceeded the boundaries of rational military planning. The revelation came through intercepted Imperial transmissions that your encryption specialists initially dismissed as routine fleet coordination messages. Only when Dr. Tishan applied her force-enhanced perception to the seemingly mundane communications did their true significance become apparent. Hidden within standard tactical updates lay evidence of the most elaborate military deception in galactic history, a strategic gambit that would either restore Imperial dominance or destroy Thrawn's remaining forces in a single catastrophic engagement. Bilbringi had been selected as the focal point for this ultimate confrontation, not because of its strategic value to either side, but because its shipyards provided the perfect environment for implementing tactical innovations that had been developing in secret for months. The facility's crystalline asteroid formations created natural gravity wells that could be manipulated through technology, salvaged from ancient mining operations, transforming the entire system into a massive trap designed to ensnare the Republic's most powerful fleet elements. Your analysis team's reconstruction of Imperial planning documents revealed preparation that had consumed resources from across Thrawn's command structure. Supply convoys had been systematically stripped of equipment that served no apparent tactical purpose, materials that made sense only when viewed as components of a comprehensive plan to transform Bilbringi into an inescapable killing field. The Grand Admiral had been preparing this engagement since before his first victories against Republic forces. Commander Dracen's examination of captured Imperial communications revealed coordination between fleet elements that should have been impossible given conventional command and control limitations. Orders moved through Thrawn's forces with precision that suggested instantaneous transmission and perfect comprehension, implementation that exceeded the capabilities of even the most disciplined military organizations. The efficiency pointed toward enhancement of Imperial personnel that went beyond improved training or superior equipment. The scope of the deception became clear when your team identified the true purpose of seemingly random Imperial raids throughout the Republic's border systems. Each engagement had served dual purposes, achieving immediate tactical objectives while gathering intelligence about Republic fleet capabilities and command procedures. Thrawn had been systematically mapping every aspect of his enemy's military doctrine, creating comprehensive understanding that would allow perfect prediction of their responses. Dr. Tian's force sensitivity revealed disturbing currents of destiny, converging around the Bilbringi system, cosmic forces that seemed to be drawing together elements from across the galaxy for some climactic confrontation. Her visions showed fleets moving through hyperspace along trajectories that suggested predetermined coordination, as if the battle's outcome had already been determined by powers beyond mortal understanding. Intelligence reports from the unknown regions described massive Imperial construction projects that had been concealed from Republic observation through methods that exceeded known stealth technology. The facilities produced equipment that served no obvious military function, devices whose purpose became clear only when viewed as components of the trap being prepared at Bilbringi. The Grand Admiral had been building weapons specifically designed to exploit Republic tactical doctrines. Your investigation revealed that Imperial forces had been systematically modified to operate in conditions that would prove fatal to conventional military personnel. Enhanced life support systems, improved coordination protocols, and psychological conditioning had created units capable of maintaining combat effectiveness in environments where normal humans would succumb to disorientation and panic. The modifications prepared Imperial forces for battle conditions that they alone would be able to survive. The evidence pointed toward tactical innovations that transcended traditional concepts of fleet engagement, suggesting that Thrawn intended to transform the nature of space warfare itself. His preparations incorporated technologies that had been considered theoretical impossibilities, systems that could manipulate fundamental forces to create battlefield conditions that favored Imperial capabilities while neutralizing Republic advantages. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial logistics revealed supply lines that connected Bilbringi to production facilities throughout the unknown regions, creating a network capable of supporting sustained operations at levels that exceeded anything attempted during the Empire's height. The infrastructure had been built through systematic exploitation of resources that the Republic had no knowledge existed, giving Thrawn access to capabilities that conventional intelligence assessments had failed to anticipate. The probe data contained detailed specifications for devices that seemed to blend Imperial engineering with principles derived from ancient technologies, creating hybrid systems that exceeded the capabilities of either approach individually. These innovations suggested that Imperial research had achieved breakthroughs that revolutionized understanding of fundamental physical laws, developments that gave Thrawn's forces advantages that could not be countered through conventional means. Dr. Tian's examination of force currents around the Bilbringi system revealed manipulation that suggested conscious direction of cosmic energies toward predetermined outcomes. The battle location had been selected not only for its tactical advantages, but for its position at the intersection of force flows that could be channeled to influence the engagement's conclusion. Thrawn appeared to have developed methods for harnessing mystical forces to serve strategic objectives. Your team discovered evidence of psychological conditioning programs that had transformed Imperial personnel into perfect instruments of Thrawn's tactical vision. The training combined traditional military instruction with techniques that enhanced perceptual awareness and decision-making speed, creating personnel who could implement complex strategies with precision that exceeded normal human capabilities. Intelligence reports described Imperial fleet exercises that practiced maneuvers impossible under normal space combat conditions, tactics that required coordination and timing beyond the capabilities of conventional forces. The training suggested preparation for battle environments that Thrawn alone could create, circumstances where Imperial advantages would prove decisive, while Republic strengths became irrelevant. The communications intercepts revealed that Imperial forces had been equipped with technology that allowed them to operate in conditions of complete sensor blackout, maintaining tactical coordination through methods that transcended conventional electronic systems. The capability would prove crucial in environments where normal command and control systems became unreliable, giving Imperial forces decisive advantages in the chaos of close-range combat. Your investigation uncovered evidence that Thrawn's tactical planning incorporated predictive models that anticipated Republic responses with accuracy that seemed to approach precognition. His strategies accounted for variables that conventional military analysis would consider unpredictable, suggesting access to information sources beyond normal intelligence gathering capabilities. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial technical specifications revealed weapons systems that had been modified to exploit specific vulnerabilities in Republic ship designs, targeting weaknesses that should have been unknown to enemy forces. The precision of these modifications suggested intelligence gathering that penetrated to the highest levels of Republic military engineering, providing Thrawn with knowledge that made his forces perfectly adapted to destroy their opponents. The evidence pointed toward preparation that transcended normal strategic planning, suggesting that the Grand Admiral possessed capabilities that allowed him to manipulate events according to predetermined patterns. His control over battlefield conditions seemed to extend beyond conventional tactical advantages, incorporating elements that approached supernatural influence over the course of galactic events. Dr. Tian's force visions revealed glimpses of the coming battle that filled her with dread and anticipation in equal measure. She perceived convergence of destinies that would determine the galaxy's future, outcomes that depended on choices that had not yet been made, but whose consequences would reshape civilizational development for generations to come. Your team's analysis revealed that Imperial preparations included contingencies for scenarios that conventional military planning would consider impossible, suggesting that Thrawn anticipated developments that transcended normal cause and effect relationships. His tactical flexibility incorporated responses to events that had not yet occurred, indicating either extraordinary prescience or access to information sources beyond conventional understanding. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy described subtle changes in Imperial personnel behavior that suggested systematic psychological conditioning designed to enhance performance under extreme stress conditions. The modifications appeared to create personnel who could maintain tactical effectiveness in circumstances that would incapacitate normal military forces, giving Thrawn's command structure advantages that could prove decisive in prolonged engagements. The communications intercepts contained references to activation protocols for systems that had remained dormant throughout previous Imperial operations, suggesting that Bilbringi would witness the deployment of capabilities that Thrawn had held in reserve for this ultimate confrontation. The Grand Admiral appeared to have been preparing for this moment since assuming command of Imperial remnant forces. As your investigation revealed the full scope of Thrawn's preparations for the Bilbringi engagement, a chilling realization emerged from the evidence. The Grand Admiral had not been planning a conventional military victory, but rather a transformation of galactic civilization itself through demonstration of capabilities that would render traditional concepts of warfare obsolete. The coming battle promised to reshape understanding of what was possible when genius transcended the boundaries of mortal limitation. The discovery of the Dark Force fleet had initially appeared to be a fortunate accident for the Republic. 200 dreadnought heavy cruisers found drifting in the depths of space after decades of searching by treasure hunters and military forces alike. Only through your team's comprehensive analysis of the circumstances surrounding their recovery did the true scope of Imperial manipulation become apparent. The fleet's emergence from obscurity had been orchestrated through a deception so elaborate that even those who benefited from it remained unaware of the forces guiding their actions. Your investigation revealed that Talon Kaday's discovery of the fleet's location had been facilitated through information provided by sources with connections to Imperial intelligence networks. The smuggler lord's reputation for independence and reliability made him the perfect unwitting agent for ensuring that news of the fleet's location reached both Republic and Imperial forces simultaneously, creating the competitive situation that Thrawn required for his strategic purposes. The historical records surrounding the Katana fleet's original disappearance painted a picture of technological innovation that had exceeded its creator's ability to control the consequences. The revolutionary slave circuit technology that allowed minimal crews to operate massive warships had been corrupted by a computer virus that drove the crews to madness, forcing them to jump blindly into hyperspace where they vanished from galactic awareness for 50 years. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial acquisition procedures revealed systematic procurement of specific dreadnought hull types that corresponded exactly to the Katana fleet's configuration. Thrawn's forces had been gathering spare parts, technical manuals and personnel with experience maintaining these ancient vessels long before their discovery became public knowledge. The preparation suggested advance warning that exceeded conventional intelligence capabilities. Dr. Tion's force sensitivity allowed her to perceive the emotional resonances that surrounded vessels from the lost fleet, psychic echoes of the madness and despair that had consumed their original crews. The ships carried traces of dark experiences that seemed to influence those who served aboard them, creating psychological conditions that made personnel more susceptible to the kind of absolute loyalty that Imperial service required. Your team's investigation into the slave circuit technology revealed modifications that had been implemented during the fleet's Imperial service, enhancements that went far beyond simple repairs to damaged systems. The circuits had been redesigned to incorporate principles derived from the consciousness transfer techniques being developed at Mount Tantiss, creating hybrid systems that blended mechanical automation with biological neural networks. The evidence suggested that Thrawn's interest in the Katana fleet extended beyond their value as additional warships for his depleted forces. The dreadnoughts served as testing platforms for technologies that would eventually be incorporated into larger vessels, experimental systems that required the unique characteristics of these ancient ships to function properly. The fleet represented a crucial component in research programs that promised to revolutionize Imperial military capabilities. Intelligence reports from Imperial facilities described extensive modifications being performed on captured dreadnoughts, installations of equipment that seemed to serve no obvious tactical purpose. The systems being added required significant space and power allocation that reduced the ship's conventional combat effectiveness, suggesting that their true function transcended normal military applications. Your analysis of tactical communications revealed that Imperial dreadnoughts demonstrated coordination capabilities that exceeded the original slave circuit specifications, suggesting that the ships had developed collective consciousness that allowed them to operate as components of a larger organism. The enhanced integration created fleet-level intelligence that could adapt to changing battlefield conditions without requiring constant command input. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial logistics revealed systematic collection of biological materials that corresponded to the genetic profiles of individuals with demonstrated aptitude for operating slave circuit-equipped vessels. The specimens were being transported to facilities where they underwent processing that prepared them for integration with enhanced ship systems, creating hybrid crews that combined human consciousness with mechanical efficiency. The probe data contained references to experimental procedures that merged human neural patterns with ship computer systems, creating integrated consciousness that could operate vessels with precision and coordination that exceeded normal crew capabilities. The techniques represented advancement of slave circuit technology beyond its original limitations, producing ships that functioned as extensions of their crew's consciousness rather than simple tools. Dr. Tayan's Force visions revealed disturbing glimpses of the modified dreadnoughts in operation, vessels that moved with fluid coordination that suggested collective awareness. The ships seemed to anticipate each other's actions with precision that transcended conventional communication methods, operating as components of larger tactical entities that possessed strategic intelligence beyond the sum of their individual capabilities. Your investigation uncovered evidence that the Katana fleet modifications served as prototypes for similar enhancements planned for larger Imperial vessels, suggesting that Thrawn intended to transform his entire fleet into a collective organism capable of implementing complex strategies through perfect coordination. The technology promised to create naval forces that could adapt to changing conditions with the flexibility of living beings while maintaining the durability and firepower of mechanical systems. Intelligence reports describe training programs where Imperial personnel learn to interface directly with modified ship systems, their consciousness expanding to encompass the awareness and capabilities of their vessels. The process created crews who functioned as integral components of their ships, rather than separate operators, achieving levels of integration that eliminated the traditional boundaries between human intelligence and mechanical function. The communications intercepts revealed that successful integration with enhanced ship systems required psychological conditioning that fundamentally altered personnel consciousness, creating individuals who could perceive space combat through multiple simultaneous perspectives while maintaining tactical awareness that spanned entire fleet formations. The modifications produced crews whose capabilities exceeded normal human limitations while maintaining the initiative and creativity that mechanical automation lacked. Your team discovered that the slave circuit enhancements incorporated elements of the consciousness transfer technology being developed at Mount Tantiss, creating systems that could preserve and utilize the accumulated experience of previous crews while adapting to the personalities and capabilities of current operators. The ships became repositories of tactical knowledge that could be accessed by successive generations of personnel. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial technical specifications revealed that the modified dreadnoughts served as nodes in a larger network that connected Imperial forces across multiple star systems, allowing real-time coordination of operations that should have been impossible given conventional communication limitations. The fleet functioned as components of an intelligence gathering and tactical coordination system that enhanced Imperial capabilities throughout the galaxy. The evidence pointed toward development of fleet-level consciousness that transcended individual ship capabilities, suggesting that Thrawn's naval forces were evolving into collective entities capable of strategic thinking and tactical adaptation. The transformation promised to create military organizations that combined the best characteristics of biological intelligence with mechanical reliability and firepower. Dr. Tian's examination of force currents around the modified dreadnoughts revealed energy patterns that suggested the ships had developed sensitivity to cosmic flows that influenced galactic events. The vessels seemed capable of perceiving strategic opportunities and threats through mystical awareness that supplemented their enhanced electronic systems, giving them advantages that conventional ships could not match. Your investigation revealed that the Katana fleet's integration into Thrawn's forces represented only the initial phase of a transformation that would eventually encompass all Imperial naval assets. The technology being perfected aboard the ancient dreadnoughts promised to create fleet organizations that functioned as extensions of the Grand Admiral's strategic consciousness, implementing his tactical vision with precision that exceeded normal command and control capabilities. Intelligence reports from across Imperial territory described similar modification programs being implemented on other vessel classes, suggesting systematic transformation of Thrawn's forces into collective entities that could operate with perfect coordination while maintaining the individual initiative required for complex tactical operations. The project represented the ultimate fusion of Imperial discipline with technological innovation. The communications intercepts contained references to activation protocols that would link modified vessels across vast distances, creating a network of collective consciousness that could coordinate operations throughout Imperial territory. The system promised to give Thrawn capabilities that approached omniscience within his operational sphere, allowing him to respond to threats and opportunities with speed and precision that conventional command structures could not match. As your team prepared to investigate the full implications of the Katana fleet modifications, a disturbing possibility emerged from the evidence. If Thrawn had succeeded in creating naval forces that functioned as extensions of collective consciousness, the Republic faced enemies whose capabilities transcended traditional concepts of military organization, adversaries who combined the strategic insight of genius with the coordinated power of perfectly integrated fleets. The emergence of Mara Jade into Republic awareness brought with it revelations that fundamentally altered your team's understanding of Imperial power structures and the true scope of Emperor Palpatine's influence over galactic events. Her testimony provided unprecedented insight into the highest levels of Imperial command, revealing manipulation and control mechanisms that had operated in complete secrecy throughout the Empire's reign. Your investigation into Jade's background revealed a conditioning program that exceeded anything documented in Imperial training protocols. From childhood, she had been shaped into the perfect instrument of Imperial will, her natural force sensitivity enhanced through techniques that combined mystical training with psychological conditioning. The process created absolute loyalty while preserving the independent thinking required for complex missions that demanded creative problem-solving. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial personnel records revealed systematic gaps that corresponded to individuals who had been selected for programs similar to Jade's conditioning. These missing persons represented a hidden tier of Imperial service that operated beyond conventional command structures. Agents whose existence was known only to the Emperor himself and whose activities shaped galactic events through methods that remained invisible to normal observation. Dr. Tian's force sensitivity allowed her to perceive the psychological trauma that Jade carried from her years of Imperial service. wounds that went beyond simple conditioning to encompass fundamental alterations of identity and purpose. The Emperor's Hand program had created beings who functioned as extensions of Palpatine's will while maintaining enough individual consciousness to serve effectively in situations that required personal initiative and judgment. The evidence revealed that Jade's conditioning included implanted commands that continued to influence her behavior years after the Emperor's death, creating psychological imperatives that operated below conscious awareness while driving her toward objectives that served Imperial interests. The most powerful of these compulsions focused her hatred toward Luke Skywalker, channeling her Force abilities toward a singular purpose that consumed her thoughts and dreams. Your team's investigation uncovered the true purpose behind the Emperor's Hand program, revealing systematic recruitment and conditioning of Force-sensitive individuals who served as instruments of Palpatine's will throughout the galaxy. These agents operated independently of conventional Imperial hierarchies, carrying out missions that shaped political developments and eliminated threats that existed beyond the reach of normal military forces. Intelligence reports from across Imperial territory described individuals whose behavior patterns matched those associated with Emperor's Hand conditioning, suggesting that Jade represented only one component of a network that had influenced galactic events through methods that transcended conventional espionage and assassination operations. The scope of Imperial manipulation extended far beyond anything the Republic had previously suspected. Jade's memories of serving directly under Emperor Palpatine provided unprecedented insight into the Sith Lord's strategic planning and long-term objectives. Her testimony revealed preparation for contingencies that extended decades into the future, plans that accounted for the possibility of Imperial defeat while ensuring that Palpatine's influence would continue shaping galactic civilization even after his physical death. The psychological analysis of Jade's conditioning revealed techniques that incorporated elements of Sith training methods, creating artificial Force sensitivity that exceeded natural capabilities while binding the enhanced individual to absolute service. The process represented fusion of mystical power with technological conditioning that produced agents whose abilities surpassed those of conventionally trained Force users. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial communication protocols revealed hidden channels that had been used exclusively by Emperor's Hand agents, networks that remained active years after the Empire's defeat at Endor. The systems continued broadcasting encoded messages that served to coordinate surviving agents and activate dormant sleeper cells throughout Republic territory. Your investigation discovered that Jade's knowledge of Imperial secrets extended far beyond her personal experiences, encompassing information that had been implanted during her conditioning to ensure that crucial intelligence would survive even if other sources were compromised. Her consciousness served as a repository for strategic data that could be accessed when specific psychological triggers were activated. Dr. Tiern's Force visions revealed glimpses of other Emperor's Hand agents operating throughout the galaxy, individuals whose conditioning had taken different forms depending on their intended functions within Palpatine's grand design. Some served as assassins and saboteurs, while others functioned as information gatherers or political manipulators, each perfectly adapted to their assigned roles through psychological modification that eliminated normal human limitations. The evidence pointed towards systematic preparation for post-Empire scenarios that suggested Palpatine had anticipated his own death while ensuring that his influence would continue through agents whose conditioning transcended normal concepts of loyalty and obedience. The Emperor's Hand program represented investment in long-term strategic assets that could operate independently while serving predetermined objectives. Intelligence reports described behavioral modifications observed in Republic personnel who had been exposed to individuals matching Emperor's Hand psychological profiles, suggesting that the agents possessed capabilities for subtle influence that could alter the thoughts and decisions of those around them. These abilities allowed them to shape events through manipulation that remained invisible to conventional observation. Your team discovered that Jade's hatred for Luke Skywalker served purposes beyond simple revenge, representing a targeting mechanism that would inevitably bring her into contact with the most powerful Force user in Republic service. The psychological compulsion ensured that she would eventually encounter Skywalker under circumstances that could be exploited to serve Imperial objectives. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial tactical communications revealed references to activation protocols for sleeper agents whose conditioning resembled Jade's profile, suggesting that the Emperor's Hand program included provisions for coordinated activation when specific conditions were met. The network represented a hidden asset that could be deployed to influence crucial events according to predetermined strategic plans. The probe data contained encrypted files that documented psychological conditioning techniques used in the Emperor's Hand program, methods that combined force manipulation with technological enhancement to create agents whose capabilities exceeded normal human limitations. The process required resources and expertise that suggested development over decades of systematic research and experimentation. Dr. Tian's examination of force currents around Jade revealed artificial alterations to her connection with cosmic energy that enhanced her abilities while binding her consciousness to specific behavioral patterns. The modifications created perfect weapons that retained enough individual awareness to function effectively while ensuring absolute adherence to Imperial objectives. Your investigation uncovered evidence that the Emperor's Hand program served as a testing ground for consciousness modification techniques that were later incorporated into larger Imperial projects, including the enhancements being implemented at Mount Tantiss. Jade's conditioning represented a prototype for methods that would eventually be applied to create enhanced personnel throughout Imperial forces. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy described incidents that matched the operational patterns associated with Emperor's Hand activities, suggesting that the network remained active despite the Empire's defeat. These agents continued pursuing objectives that had been established during Palpatine's reign, working to destabilize Republic government and prepare conditions for Imperial resurgence. The communications intercepts revealed that surviving Emperor's Hand agents possessed access to hidden Imperial resources that had been scattered throughout the galaxy as preparation for post-defeat scenarios. These caches included weapons, equipment, and intelligence assets that could support covert operations for years without requiring contact with conventional Imperial forces. Your team's analysis revealed that Jade's psychological conditioning included provisions for evolution and adaptation that allowed her to function effectively even when circumstances deviated from original planning parameters. The flexibility built into her programming ensured that she could serve Imperial interests while maintaining the personal initiative required for complex missions in unpredictable environments. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial research records revealed systematic study of Force-sensitive individuals throughout the galaxy, research that provided the foundation for Emperor's Hand recruitment and conditioning programs. The data collected through these studies had been used to develop psychological modification techniques that could be adapted to enhance any individual with sufficient Force potential. The evidence suggested that Jade's knowledge of Imperial secrets represented only a fraction of the information that had been preserved through the Emperor's Hand network, intelligence assets that could provide strategic advantages to any Imperial commander capable of accessing and utilizing them. The network represented a hidden reservoir of tactical knowledge that could reshape the balance of galactic power. Dr. Tian's Force visions revealed glimpses of the psychological struggle that consumed Jade's consciousness as she fought against conditioning that had been designed to override individual will and personal desire. Her resistance to the implanted commands demonstrated strength of character that had allowed her to maintain some degree of personal identity despite years of intensive psychological manipulation. As your investigation prepared to explore the full implications of the Emperor's Hand program and its continuing influence on galactic events, a disturbing realization emerged from the evidence. If Imperial forces possessed access to a network of enhanced agents whose conditioning transcended death itself, the Republic faced threats that extended far beyond conventional military considerations into realms where individual identity and free will became weapons in struggles that would determine civilization's future. The discovery of hidden Imperial archives within the depths of Coruscant's former Imperial palace revealed the true scope of Emperor Palpatine's preparation for scenarios that extended far beyond his physical death. These sealed vaults contain strategic plans that encompass generations of galactic development, contingencies designed to ensure Imperial dominance regardless of temporary setbacks or changes in leadership. Your team's investigation into these forbidden archives required clearance from the highest levels of Republic government, access granted only after your analysis demonstrated that understanding Palpatine's long-term planning was essential for anticipating current Imperial threats. The documents revealed systematic preparation that challenged fundamental assumptions about Imperial strategic thinking and the nature of Sith ambitions. Commander Drayson's examination of the archive structure revealed organizational methods that reflected Sith approaches to knowledge preservation, information stored according to principles that prioritized long-term strategic value over immediate tactical utility. The filing systems incorporated security measures that required force sensitivity to access the most crucial documents, ensuring that only individuals with appropriate mystical abilities could comprehend the full scope of Imperial planning. Dr. Tian's force-enhanced perception allowed her to navigate the psychological barriers that protected the most sensitive materials, defenses that had been designed to drive away casual investigators while granting access to those who possessed the dedication and capability required to implement the preserved strategies. The archives functioned as both repository and testing ground, evaluating potential successors to Palpatine's legacy. The documents revealed Operation Shadow Hand, a comprehensive plan for Imperial resurgence that incorporated multiple phases of development spanning decades of implementation. The operation included provisions for establishing hidden strongholds in the deep core systems, regions that remained largely unexplored, and provided ideal locations for building military forces beyond Republic observation or interference. Your investigation uncovered evidence that Palpatine had systematically established supply depots and manufacturing facilities throughout the galaxy's most remote regions, creating infrastructure that could support Imperial operations long after conventional Imperial territory had been lost to enemy forces. These hidden assets included cloning facilities, weapons production centers, and training installations that remained operational years after the Emperor's death. Intelligence reports from deep space exploration missions described encounters with Imperial forces operating from bases that appeared on no known star charts, installations that demonstrated technological capabilities exceeding anything documented during the Empire's height. The facilities seemed to operate according to protocols that had been established during Palpatine's reign, but implemented through resources that transcended conventional Imperial capabilities. The archives contained detailed psychological profiles of potential Imperial successors, analyses that evaluated candidates according to criteria that went far beyond military competence or political loyalty. Palpatine had been systematically identifying individuals whose capabilities and ambitions aligned with long-term Imperial objectives, preparing them through subtle manipulation and conditioning to serve roles in his posthumous strategies. Commander Drayson's analysis of the succession planning documents revealed that Grand Admiral Thrawn's appointment to his position had been anticipated and prepared for through mechanisms that predated his emergence from the unknown regions. The Emperor had established protocols that would guide the Chiss commander toward resources and capabilities that would enable him to serve Imperial interests with maximum effectiveness. Your team discovered that the deep-core Imperial strongholds had been designed to function as components of a larger strategic network, installations that could coordinate operations across vast distances while remaining invisible to conventional intelligence gathering methods. The bases incorporated technology that blended Imperial engineering with ancient Sith techniques for concealment and protection. Dr. Tian's Force visions revealed glimpses of the deep core facilities in operation, massive installations that seemed to pulse with dark side energy while supporting industrial activities on scales that dwarfed conventional Imperial projects. The bases functioned as centers of power that could sustain military campaigns for decades while remaining completely independent of external supply lines or support systems. The evidence pointed towards systematic development of capabilities that transcended the technological achievements documented during the Empire's peak, suggesting that Palpatine's hidden projects had continued advancing long after his death through automated systems and carefully selected personnel. The deep core installations represented culmination of research programs that had operated in complete secrecy throughout Imperial history. Intelligence reports described encounters with Imperial forces whose equipment and capabilities exceeded anything seen during conventional Imperial operations, personnel who seemed to operate according to tactical doctrines that incorporated elements of advanced technology with mystical enhancement. These units demonstrated coordination and effectiveness that suggested training and conditioning programs that surpassed normal Imperial standards. Your investigation revealed that the Emperor's contingency planning included provisions for manipulating galactic political development through methods that remained invisible to conventional observation. Hidden agents throughout Republic territory had been programmed to influence key decisions and events according to predetermined patterns that served long-term Imperial objectives. Commander Drayson's examination of the political manipulation protocols revealed systematic efforts to destabilize Republic government through methods that created the appearance of natural political evolution while actually serving Imperial strategic interests. The plans included provisions for exploiting economic pressures, cultural conflicts, and regional disputes to create conditions favorable for Imperial resurgence. The archives contain detailed studies of force nexuses throughout the galaxy, locations where mystical energy concentrated in ways that could be harnessed to enhance military capabilities and strategic planning. Palpatine had been systematically mapping these sites and establishing facilities that could tap into their power for purposes that combined practical utility with occult experimentation. Dr. Tian's analysis of the Force Nexus research revealed attempts to create artificial concentrations of dark side energy that could serve strategic purposes while remaining undetectable to Jedi observation methods. The projects promised to establish permanent sources of mystical power that could enhance Imperial capabilities while corrupting the cosmic balance in ways that favored Sith objectives. Your team discovered that the contingency plans included provisions for consciousness preservation that would allow key Imperial leaders to survive physical death while maintaining their ability to influence galactic events. The techniques represented advancement of Sith immortality research beyond anything previously achieved, promising to create leadership continuity that transcended normal biological limitations. Intelligence reports from across Imperial territory described phenomena that suggested successful implementation of consciousness preservation protocols, encounters with Imperial commanders whose tactical decisions reflected knowledge and experience that exceeded their apparent age and service records. These individuals seemed to possess accumulated wisdom that spanned multiple lifetimes while maintaining the initiative and adaptability required for effective leadership. The evidence revealed that Palpatine's ultimate objective encompassed transformation of galactic civilization itself through systematic replacement of natural development with artificially directed evolution. The Emperor's vision extended beyond simple Imperial dominance to include fundamental alteration of the relationship between conscious beings and the Force that connected all life. Commander Drayson's analysis of the civilization transformation protocols revealed systematic plans for replacing conventional reproduction with controlled cloning programs that would eliminate genetic diversity while ensuring that all beings served predetermined functions within Imperial society. The scope of the transformation promised to create a galaxy populated entirely by artificial beings whose consciousness had been designed to serve Sith objectives. Your investigation uncovered evidence that the contingency planning included provisions for transforming the Force itself through methods that would fundamentally alter the nature of mystical energy throughout the galaxy. The research promised to eliminate the light side while enhancing dark side power to levels that would make resistance to Imperial rule impossible. The Dr. Tian's Force visions revealed glimpses of the ultimate consequences of successful contingency implementation, futures where individual consciousness had been eliminated in favor of collective servitude to artificial intelligences that embodied Palpatine's will. The scenarios depicted galactic civilization transformed into a mechanism for perpetuating Sith power through methods that eliminated the possibility of rebellion or resistance. The archives contained references to activation conditions that would trigger full implementation of the contingency protocols, circumstances that aligned perfectly with current galactic political and military developments. The plans appeared to be approaching crucial decision points that would determine whether the Emperor's posthumous vision would achieve fulfillment or face permanent defeat. Intelligence reports described increasing Imperial activity around locations that had been identified in the contingency planning documents, suggesting that surviving Imperial forces were implementing protocols that had been established decades earlier. The coordination indicated access to strategic guidance that transcended normal command structures while serving objectives that extended far beyond conventional military victory. Your team's analysis revealed that understanding the Emperor's contingency planning was essential for anticipating Imperial strategic decisions and identifying vulnerabilities that could be exploited to prevent implementation of the most dangerous protocols. The information provided crucial insight into enemy capabilities while revealing the true scope of the threat that the galaxy faced from forces that had been shaped by vision that transcended mortal ambition. As your investigation prepared to explore the immediate implications of contingency protocol activation, a chilling realization emerged from the evidence. The Republic faced enemies whose strategic planning incorporated resources and capabilities that exceeded conventional understanding, adversaries whose ultimate objectives encompassed transformation of galactic civilization according to visions that would eliminate individual freedom and natural development in favor of artificial perfection, serving eternal tyranny. The truth about the Noghri people emerged through Princess Leia's investigation into her family's connection to the galaxy's most deadly assassins, a revelation that would shatter the foundation of Imperial power while exposing centuries of systematic deception and environmental manipulation. Her discovery transformed understanding of Imperial methods while revealing the tragic price paid by an entire civilization for unwitting service to tyrannical masters. Your team's analysis of ecological data from the Noghri homeworld of Honoghr revealed evidence of environmental devastation that far exceeded the damage typically associated with industrial accidents or conventional warfare. The planetary surface bore scars that suggested systematic poisoning through methods designed to create long-term dependency rather than immediate destruction, contamination patterns that served strategic purposes while appearing to result from natural disasters. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial environmental records revealed systematic concealment of the true scope of Honoghr's ecological damage, documentation that had been falsified to support the deception that Imperial forces were providing essential aid to a grateful population. The record showed deliberate maintenance of contamination levels that ensured continued Noghri dependence while preventing complete planetary recovery. Dr. Tian's Force sensitivity allowed her to perceive the emotional resonance of generations of Noghri suffering, psychic echoes of a proud warrior culture that had been systematically broken through manipulation that exploited their most noble characteristics. The species' dedication to honor and service had been perverted into instruments of Imperial oppression through deception that violated every principle of civilized interaction. The investigation revealed that the ecological disaster on Honor had been artificially maintained through Imperial intervention that presented itself as environmental restoration while actually perpetuating the conditions that ensured Noghri servitude. Imperial scientists had developed contamination that appeared to resist conventional cleanup methods while remaining susceptible to treatments that only Imperial technology could provide. Your analysis of Imperial biological warfare research uncovered the true nature of the ecological weapons that had been deployed against Honora, toxins specifically designed to target the planetary ecosystem while creating dependency relationships that could be exploited for generations. The weapons represented sophistication in environmental manipulation that exceeded anything documented in conventional military arsenals. Intelligence reports from Imperial research facilities described systematic study of Noghri physiology and psychology, research that provided the foundation for manipulation techniques that exploited the species' cultural values and biological characteristics. The studies revealed Imperial understanding of Noghri society that encompassed every aspect of their civilization from religious beliefs to family structures. The evidence pointed toward deliberate selection of the Noghri as Imperial servants based on characteristics that made them ideal instruments of Imperial will, while ensuring their continued loyalty through methods that appeared to benefit their species. Their natural abilities as hunters and warriors had been enhanced through training that transformed them into perfect assassins, while their cultural dedication to honor ensured absolute obedience to those they perceived as benefactors. Commander Drayson's investigation into Imperial personnel records revealed systematic recruitment of specialists in environmental manipulation and psychological conditioning who had been assigned to projects related to Noghri management. These experts possessed knowledge of techniques that could maintain entire civilizations in states of controlled dependency while creating the appearance of benevolent assistance. Your team discovered that the Noghri's legendary effectiveness as Imperial agents resulted from a combination of natural abilities and artificial enhancement through medical procedures that improved their already formidable hunting instincts. The treatments were presented as necessary medical care for radiation exposure while actually serving to optimize their performance as assassins and commandos. Dr. Tyrion's Force visions revealed glimpses of Honorbra's condition before Imperial intervention, a world where the Noghri had developed a harmonious relationship with their environment that supported a complex civilization based on principles of balance and mutual respect. The contrast with their current situation demonstrated the full scope of Imperial manipulation and the magnitude of what had been lost through systematic deception. The investigation uncovered evidence that Imperial control over the Noghri had been established through exploitation of their cultural concept of life debt, a sacred obligation that bound them to absolute service in exchange for perceived salvation from extinction. The manipulation transformed their most noble tradition into a mechanism for perpetual enslavement, while maintaining the appearance of voluntary cooperation. Intelligence reports described the psychological conditioning that had been applied to successive generations of Noghri warriors, training that reinforced their loyalty to Imperial objectives while gradually erasing memories of their species' original culture and values. The process created perfect servants who retained their effectiveness while losing connection to the independent traditions that might have challenged Imperial authority. Your analysis of Imperial tactical communications revealed systematic deployment of Noghri forces in operations that specifically targeted threats to Imperial power, missions that exploited their abilities while ensuring that their actions served strategic objectives rather than their species' interests. The assignments demonstrated Imperial willingness to expend Noghri lives for purposes that provided no benefit to their homeworld or people. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial supply records revealed systematic provision of resources to Noghri that created the appearance of environmental restoration while actually maintaining conditions that ensured continued dependency. The aid programs were designed to provide just enough improvement to maintain hope while preventing the recovery that would eliminate Imperial leverage over Noghri society. The probe data contained detailed specifications for environmental manipulation techniques that had been refined through decades of application on Noghri, methods that could be adapted for use against other species and worlds that possessed strategic value to Imperial objectives. The Noghri homeworld had served as a testing ground for techniques that promised to revolutionize Imperial approaches to population control. Dr. Tian's analysis of force currents around Noghri revealed artificial disturbances that suggested the ecological contamination had been designed to disrupt the natural connection between the Noghri and cosmic energy that influenced their traditional way of life. The interference prevented spiritual development that might have allowed them to perceive the true nature of their situation. Your investigation revealed that the Noghri's effectiveness as Imperial agents had made them crucial assets in operations throughout the galaxy, missions that required absolute discretion and perfect execution. Their reputation for invincibility had been carefully cultivated through systematic elimination of anyone who survived encounters with Noghri assassins, creating psychological warfare effects that amplified their tactical value. Intelligence reports from across Imperial territory describe the impact of Noghri operations on Republic morale and security. Systematic assassination campaigns that had eliminated key leaders while creating atmosphere of fear that undermined civilian confidence in government protection. The psychological effects exceeded the tactical value of individual eliminations while serving strategic objectives that shaped galactic political development. The evidence pointed toward Imperial recognition that control over the Noghri represented a crucial asset that had to be maintained at any cost, suggesting that their liberation would constitute a devastating blow to Imperial capabilities. The loss of their services would eliminate crucial tactical advantages while potentially inspiring other subjugated species to question Imperial benevolence. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial contingency planning revealed provisions for eliminating the Noghri entirely if their loyalty could not be maintained, protocols that demonstrated Imperial willingness to destroy what they could not control. The plans included methods for completing the ecological devastation of Noghri while creating the appearance of natural disaster rather than deliberate extermination. Your team discovered that Princess Leia's investigation had been anticipated by Imperial strategists who had prepared countermeasures designed to prevent Noghri discovery of the truth about their situation. The defensive measures included psychological conditioning that would make it difficult for the Noghri to accept evidence that contradicted their fundamental beliefs about Imperial benevolence. But Dr. Tian's Force visions revealed the moment when Princess Leia's revelation shattered the deception that had controlled Noghri civilization for generations, truth that spread through their society like wildfire, as individuals suddenly understood the full scope of Imperial manipulation. The psychological impact created transformation that would fundamentally alter the balance of power in the galactic conflict. The investigation revealed that Noghri liberation represented more than simple loss of Imperial assets, constituting a symbolic victory that demonstrated the vulnerability of Imperial power to exposure of its true methods. The revelation promised to inspire other subjugated species while revealing tactical information that could be used to identify and counter similar manipulation techniques throughout Imperial territory. Intelligence reports describe the immediate impact of Noghri awakening on Imperial operations throughout the galaxy. Sudden loss of capabilities that forced restructuring of strategic plans while eliminating advantages that had been considered permanent. The transformation created opportunities for Republic forces while demonstrating the fragility of Imperial control when based on deception rather than genuine loyalty. Your analysis of the broader implications revealed that the Noghri betrayal exposed fundamental weaknesses in Imperial methodology that could be exploited to undermine other aspects of their strategic position. The revelation provided insights into Imperial psychological manipulation techniques, while demonstrating methods for countering them through exposure of truth that transcended propaganda and conditioning. As your investigation prepared to explore the full consequences of Noghri liberation, a profound realization emerged from the evidence. The Empire's greatest strength had become its most dangerous vulnerability as species throughout the galaxy, began questioning the true nature of Imperial assistance and the hidden costs of cooperation with forces that presented tyranny as salvation. The final revelation emerged through analysis of fragmentary transmissions intercepted during the chaos of Thrawn's death at Bilbringi, coded messages that revealed the true scope of the Grand Admiral's strategic vision extending far beyond his physical existence. These communications contained activation protocols for sleeper networks that had been established throughout Imperial territory, systems designed to perpetuate his tactical genius through artificial means that transcended individual mortality. Your investigation into these posthumous protocols revealed that Thrawn had anticipated his own death while preparing contingencies that would ensure his strategic influence continued shaping galactic events for decades after his assassination. The plans incorporated advanced holographic technology combined with artificial intelligence systems that had been programmed with comprehensive databases of his tactical knowledge and decision-making patterns. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial technical specifications uncovered evidence of sophisticated recording devices that had been systematically documenting Thrawn's strategic deliberations throughout his campaign against Republic forces. The equipment captured not only his verbal instructions and written orders, but also subtle behavioral patterns and decision-making processes that revealed the underlying logic of his tactical genius. Dr. Tian's force sensitivity allowed her to perceive residual psychic impressions left by Thrawn's intense concentration during strategic planning sessions, mental echoes that had been preserved within specially designed crystalline matrices located throughout Imperial facilities. These psychic recordings contained patterns of thought and analysis that could be accessed by individuals with appropriate force sensitivity and technological enhancement. The evidence revealed that Imperial research teams had been developing consciousness preservation techniques that went far beyond simple recording of memories and knowledge, creating systems that could replicate the actual thought processes and analytical methods that made Thrawn's strategic insights possible. The technology promised to create artificial intelligences that possessed genuine tactical genius rather than mere programmed responses. Your team discovered that the Hand of Thrawn facility represented the culmination of these consciousness preservation efforts, a massive installation designed to serve as the focal point for perpetuating the Grand Admiral's influence throughout the galaxy. The complex incorporated advanced holographic projection systems with quantum computing networks that could process tactical information at speeds exceeding biological limitations. Intelligence reports from the unknown regions described encounters with Imperial forces whose tactical coordination demonstrated characteristics that matched Thrawn's analytical patterns, suggesting successful deployment of systems that allowed his strategic methods to influence military operations conducted by subordinate commanders. The technology created multiplication of tactical genius that exceeded anything achieved through conventional training programs. The facility's design incorporated elements that seemed to blend Imperial engineering with architectural principles derived from ancient Sith strongholds, creating environments that enhanced the effectiveness of consciousness preservation systems while providing the security necessary for long-term operations. The installation functioned as both technological marvel and mystical focus, combining scientific achievement with occult methodology. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial logistics revealed systematic collection of materials and personnel required for consciousness preservation operations, resources that had been accumulated over years of careful planning while remaining invisible to Republic intelligence services. The procurement patterns suggested preparation for projects that required capabilities exceeding those available through conventional Imperial research facilities. Your investigation uncovered evidence that the consciousness preservation technology incorporated elements derived from Emperor Palpatine's research into Sith immortality techniques, methods that had been adapted for use by individuals who lacked direct force sensitivity, but possessed other forms of exceptional capability. The fusion of mystical principles with technological innovation created possibilities that transcended traditional limitations of individual mortality. Dr. Tion's analysis of force currents around the Hand of Thrawn facility revealed energy patterns that suggested successful integration of artificial intelligence systems with preserved consciousness matrices, creating hybrid entities that combined technological processing power with genuine strategic insight. The installations pulsed with activities that seemed to bridge the gap between mechanical calculation and intuitive understanding. The probe data contained specifications for holographic projection systems that could create perfect visual representations of Thrawn, while reproducing his mannerisms and speech patterns with absolute fidelity. The technology allowed for interaction with subordinates who would be unable to distinguish between artificial projections and direct communication with the living Grand Admiral. Intelligence reports described encounters with Imperial commanders who claimed to have received strategic guidance directly from Thrawn months after his confirmed death, testimonies that suggested successful implementation of consciousness preservation systems that maintained his ability to influence tactical decisions. The reports indicated that Imperial forces continued receiving tactical innovations that bore the unmistakable characteristics of his analytical genius. Your team's investigation revealed that the Hand of Thrawn represented only the central component of a distributed network that extended throughout Imperial territory, installations that could coordinate operations across vast distances while maintaining perfect synchronization of strategic objectives. The system created collective intelligence that exceeded the capabilities of any individual commander, while preserving the tactical insight that made Thrawn's methods effective. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial communication protocols revealed hidden channels that connected the consciousness preservation facilities with active Imperial forces, networks that allowed for real-time strategic guidance that appeared to originate from sources beyond conventional command structures. The communications demonstrated coordination that transcended normal limitations of space and time. The evidence pointed towards systematic preparation for scenarios that extended far beyond Thrawn's personal survival, suggesting that his ultimate objective encompassed transformation of Imperial military doctrine through methods that would ensure perpetual tactical superiority, regardless of changes in leadership or circumstances. The Consciousness Preservation Project represented investment in strategic assets that could serve Imperial interests for generations. Dr. Tion's Force visions revealed glimpses of the facility's interior operations chambers where holographic projections of Thrawn continued analyzing tactical situations and developing strategic responses to Republic military activities. The artificial intelligence systems seemed to possess genuine understanding rather than simple programmed responses, creating entities that combined technological precision with intuitive strategic insight. Your investigation discovered that the Hand of Thrawn technology incorporated adaptive learning systems that allowed the preserved consciousness matrices to evolve and develop beyond their original programming, creating artificial entities that could respond to changing circumstances while maintaining the essential characteristics that made Thrawn's tactical methods effective. Intelligence reports from across Imperial territory described systematic implementation of strategic decisions that demonstrated characteristics matching Thrawn's analytical patterns, suggesting that the consciousness preservation systems had achieved sufficient sophistication to guide large-scale military operations without requiring direct supervision from living commanders. The facility's operations included provisions for training new generations of Imperial officers according to methods derived from Thrawn's tactical principles, creating educational programs that could perpetuate his strategic insights through conventional means while maintaining the technological advantages provided by consciousness preservation systems. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial personnel records revealed systematic recruitment of individuals whose psychological profiles matched characteristics that would make them suitable for receiving strategic guidance from artificial intelligence systems based on Thrawn's preserved consciousness. The selection process identified candidates who could serve effectively as instruments of posthumous tactical genius. Your team discovered that the Hand of Thrawn represented culmination of Imperial research into methods for transcending individual mortality, while preserving the capabilities that made specific individuals valuable to Imperial objectives. The technology promised to create strategic assets that could serve Imperial interests indefinitely while adapting to changing circumstances and evolving threats. Dr. Tian's analysis of the broader implications revealed that successful consciousness preservation could fundamentally alter the nature of galactic civilization by eliminating the limitations that individual mortality imposed on long-term strategic planning. The technology opened possibilities for continuity of leadership and vision that exceeded anything previously achieved in galactic history. The evidence suggested that Thrawn's death at Bilbringi might have represented transition rather than termination, transformation from individual commander to distributed intelligence that could influence Imperial operations throughout the galaxy, while remaining immune to conventional methods of elimination or defeat. Intelligence reports described increasing Imperial coordination and strategic sophistication in the months following Thrawn's death, suggesting that the consciousness preservation systems had achieved operational status and were successfully providing tactical guidance to surviving Imperial forces. The improvement in Imperial performance indicated that the Grand Admiral's influence had actually increased rather than diminished following his physical death. Your investigation revealed that understanding the Hand of Thrawn technology was crucial for anticipating future Imperial strategic decisions and developing countermeasures that could address threats posed by enemies whose tactical capabilities transcended normal limitations of individual mortality and biological consciousness. As your analysis prepared to explore the full implications of consciousness preservation technology, a profound realization emerged from the evidence. The Republic faced adversaries whose strategic planning could extend across generations while maintaining perfect continuity of tactical genius, enemies who had transformed death itself into merely another variable in calculations that encompassed the ultimate transformation of galactic civilization according to visions that transcended mortal ambition and individual limitation. The confrontation between Luke Skywalker and his cloned duplicate within the depths of Mount Tantiss represented more than a battle between original and artificial consciousness. It embodied the fundamental conflict between natural force development and technological manipulation that would determine the future direction of galactic civilization and the role of force users within it. Your investigation into the psychological dynamics of this encounter revealed that Luke's victory emerged not from superior combat skills or enhanced force abilities, but from his acceptance of personal identity that transcended external validation or artificial enhancement. His rejection of the clone's existence represented affirmation of values that placed individual authenticity above technological perfection. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial cloning records showed that the Luke Skywalker duplicate had been created with all the original's memories and abilities, while lacking the spiritual development that came through genuine life experiences and personal growth. The artificial being possessed technical competence without the wisdom that emerged from confronting real consequences and making difficult moral choices. Dr. Tian's force sensitivity allowed her to perceive the profound difference between Luke's natural connection to cosmic energy and the artificial resonance that characterized his clone's relationship with mystical power. The duplicate's force abilities operated through mechanical precision rather than organic flow, creating capabilities that appeared similar while lacking the deeper understanding that made genuine force mastery possible. The evidence revealed that Luke's confrontation with his duplicate served as catalytic experience that crystallized his understanding of Jedi philosophy and his role as founder of a new generation of Force users. The encounter forced him to define his identity in terms that went beyond external accomplishments or inherited abilities, establishing foundations for teaching methods that would shape future Jedi development. Your team discovered that the cloning process had captured Luke's technical knowledge and combat training, while failing to replicate the spiritual insights that emerged from his unique relationship with both light and dark aspects of his heritage. The duplicate possessed his father's potential for violence without the redemptive love that had transformed Anakin Skywalker's final moments. Intelligence reports from Mount Tantiss describe the facility's attempts to create perfect Jedi through technological means, experiments that consistently failed to reproduce the organic development that characterized genuine Force sensitivity. The research revealed fundamental incompatibility between artificial enhancement and authentic spiritual growth that limited the effectiveness of Imperial consciousness manipulation programs. The investigation revealed that Luke's resistance to the temptations offered through his duplicate's existence demonstrated psychological maturity that exceeded anything documented in historical Jedi records. His ability to recognize and reject artificial versions of fulfillment showed wisdom that transcended traditional Jedi teachings while incorporating their essential principles. To Dr. Tian's analysis of Force currents during the confrontation revealed how Luke's decision to destroy his clone created ripple effects throughout the cosmic energy field that influenced Force-sensitive individuals across the galaxy. His choice to prioritize authenticity over convenience generated inspiration that strengthened natural Force development while weakening artificial manipulation attempts. Your investigation uncovered evidence that Luke's victory over his duplicate marked a turning point in the broader conflict between natural and artificial approaches to Force mastery, demonstrating that technological enhancement could not replicate the genuine spiritual development that made Jedi effective guardians of peace and justice. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial research data revealed systematic failure of cloning programs designed to create Force-sensitive beings, experiments that consistently produced individuals with technical abilities, but without the moral foundation that made their power beneficial rather than destructive. The research documented inherent limitations of artificial approaches to spiritual development. The evidence suggested that Luke's encounter with his clone provided crucial insights into the nature of identity and consciousness that would influence his development of new Jedi Order training methods. His experience with artificial versions of himself generated understanding that would help future students distinguish between genuine spiritual growth and superficial enhancement. Intelligence reports describe the psychological impact of Luke's choice on Imperial personnel who witnessed or learned about the confrontation, testimonies that revealed how his rejection of artificial perfection inspired others to question the value of technological enhancement over natural development. The example created doubt about Imperial promises of improvement through artificial means. Your team's analysis revealed that Luke's victory represented more than personal triumph over temptation, constituting demonstration that organic spiritual development possessed inherent advantages over technological manipulation that could not be overcome through superior resources or advanced techniques. The confrontation proved that authenticity remained the foundation of genuine power. Dr. Tanner's Force visions revealed glimpses of Luke's internal struggle during the encounter, moments when he was forced to confront aspects of his own personality and potential that he might have preferred to avoid. His willingness to acknowledge and integrate these shadow elements demonstrated psychological wholeness that his duplicate could not achieve through artificial means. The investigation uncovered evidence that Luke's experience at Mount Tantiss influenced his approach to training future Jedi students, creating teaching methods that emphasized personal authenticity and organic development over technical proficiency or inherited abilities. His curriculum incorporated lessons learned from confronting artificial versions of Force mastery. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy described Force-sensitive individuals whose abilities began manifesting more strongly following Luke's victory over his clone, suggesting that his choice to prioritize authenticity created resonance effects that enhanced natural Force development while weakening artificial manipulation attempts throughout Imperial territory. Your analysis revealed that Luke's confrontation with Cadabath and his clone served multiple purposes within his personal development, forcing him to define his identity in terms that went beyond external expectations while demonstrating the superiority of authentic spiritual growth over technological shortcuts to power and ability. Commander Drayson's investigation into Imperial psychological profiles showed systematic misunderstanding of Luke's motivations and values, analyses that assumed he would be tempted by offers of enhanced power or artificial perfection. The Imperial failure to predict his response revealed fundamental ignorance about the nature of genuine spiritual development. The evidence pointed toward Luke's growing understanding of his role as teacher and guide for future generations of Force users, responsibilities that required him to demonstrate through personal example the principles that would govern new Jedi Order development. His choices at Mount Tantiss established precedents that would influence galactic civilization for generations. Dr. Tian's analysis of Force resonance patterns around Luke following his victory revealed enhanced connection to cosmic energy that seemed to result from his integration of shadow elements and rejection of artificial alternatives. His spiritual development had been accelerated through confronting and overcoming temptations that might have corrupted other individuals. Your investigation discovered that Luke's experience with Imperial cloning technology provided crucial insights into the nature of consciousness and identity that would prove essential for future encounters with artificial beings and enhanced individuals. His understanding of the differences between genuine and artificial consciousness became a strategic asset for Republic forces. Intelligence reports describe the impact of Luke's victory on Mara Jade's psychological development, showing how his example of choosing authenticity over enhancement influenced her own struggle with Imperial conditioning and artificial compulsions. His demonstration of genuine strength provided model for her own spiritual growth and recovery from artificial manipulation. The evidence revealed that Luke's confrontation at Mount Tantiss represented climactic moment in his transition from student to teacher, experience that crystallized his understanding of Jedi principles, while preparing him for responsibilities that would shape the future of Force users throughout the galaxy. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial strategic planning revealed systematic underestimation of Luke's psychological resilience and spiritual development, miscalculations that contributed to Imperial failures while demonstrating the limitations of technological approaches to understanding human consciousness and motivation. Your team discovered that Luke's victory over his clone created symbolic resonance that inspired resistance movements throughout Imperial territory, demonstrating that individual choices based on authentic values could influence galactic events through mechanisms that transcended conventional political or military action. Dr. Tian's Force visions revealed the long-term implications of Luke's choices at Mount Tantiss, showing how his rejection of artificial enhancement would influence the development of Force-sensitive individuals for generations, while establishing precedents that would guide new Jedi Order philosophy and training methods. The investigation revealed that Luke's experience provided crucial understanding of the relationship between individual consciousness and cosmic energy that would prove essential for addressing future threats from artificial beings and enhanced individuals. His insights into the nature of authentic versus artificial Force sensitivity became foundational knowledge for new Jedi Order development. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy described subtle changes in Force currents that seemed to result from Luke's victory, alterations that strengthened natural spiritual development while weakening artificial manipulation attempts. His choice to prioritize authenticity created beneficial effects that extended far beyond immediate tactical considerations. As your analysis prepared to explore the broader implications of Luke's spiritual development and its influence on galactic civilization, a profound realization emerged from the evidence. The young Jedi's victory over his artificial duplicate represented more than personal triumph, constituting demonstration that authentic spiritual growth possessed inherent advantages that could not be replicated through technological means, regardless of the resources or sophistication applied to artificial enhancement programs. The aftermath of Thrawn's death at Bilbringi revealed the true cost of victory against an enemy whose strategic genius had elevated warfare to the level of high art. Republic forces had achieved their tactical objectives while suffering losses that went far beyond simple casualty statistics, experiencing psychological and strategic damage that would influence galactic civilization for generations to come. Your investigation into the battle's consequences revealed that Republic naval forces had been fundamentally altered by their encounters with Imperial tactics that transcended conventional military doctrine. Officers who survived engagements against Thrawn's forces demonstrated enhanced tactical awareness combined with persistent anxiety about enemy capabilities that might exceed rational analysis or predictable response patterns. Commander Drayson's analysis of post-battle medical reports showed systematic psychological trauma among Republic personnel who had witnessed Imperial coordination and strategic innovation that challenged their understanding of what was possible within conventional military frameworks. The encounters had created lasting doubt about the reliability of traditional tactical doctrine and strategic planning methods. Dr. Tion's force sensitivity allowed her to perceive the emotional resonance that surrounded Republic victory celebrations, detecting undercurrents of uncertainty and fear that tempered the satisfaction of tactical achievement. The triumph carried awareness that they had defeated only one component of Imperial capabilities, while facing threats that extended far beyond individual commanders or conventional military forces. The evidence revealed that Bilbringi had been designed as much to demonstrate Imperial capabilities as to achieve immediate tactical objectives, creating psychological effects that would influence Republic strategic planning long after the battle's conclusion. Thrawn's death had been purchased through exposure to technologies and methods that revealed the scope of threats that Republic forces might encounter in future conflicts. Your team discovered that Imperial forces had withdrawn from the engagement in patterns that suggested coordinated retreat rather than chaotic flight, indicating continued command structure effectiveness despite the loss of their supreme commander. The tactical discipline displayed during withdrawal demonstrated that Thrawn's methods had been successfully transmitted to subordinate personnel who could implement his strategic principles without direct supervision. Intelligence reports from across Imperial territory described systematic regrouping of scattered forces according to contingency plans that bore unmistakable characteristics of Thrawn's analytical approach, suggesting that his strategic influence continued operating through mechanisms that transcended individual mortality. The coordination indicated preparation for continued resistance that would maintain Imperial capabilities while adapting to changed circumstances. The investigation revealed that Republic victory had been achieved through tactics that required acceptance of casualty levels exceeding anything experienced since the war's beginning, suggesting that future conflicts against technologically enhanced enemies would demand sacrifices that challenged fundamental assumptions about acceptable costs of military victory. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial equipment recovered from Bilbringi revealed technological sophistication that exceeded Republic capabilities in multiple areas, innovations that had been deployed only partially during the engagement, while suggesting reserves of capability that remained unused. The discoveries indicated that Imperial forces possessed strategic assets that had not been fully revealed during conventional military operations. Your analysis of tactical communications intercepts showed continued Imperial coordination following Thrawn's death, activities that demonstrated persistent command authority operating through channels that remained hidden from Republic observation. The communications suggested that Imperial strategic planning continued according to predetermined protocols that accounted for leadership transition scenarios. Dr. Tian's Force visions revealed glimpses of Imperial installations throughout the unknown regions, where research and development programs continued operating according to schedules established before Bilbringi, suggesting that Thrawn's death had minimal impact on projects designed to enhance Imperial capabilities over extended timeframes. The facilities maintained activities that would eventually produce strategic advantages exceeding anything deployed during the recent campaign. The evidence pointed towards systematic Imperial preparation for extended conflict that incorporated provisions for leadership casualties while maintaining strategic continuity through mechanisms that ensured operational effectiveness regardless of individual survival or elimination. The approach demonstrated planning sophistication that exceeded Republic contingency protocols while suggesting preparation for scenarios that extended far beyond conventional military considerations. Intelligence reports described encounters with Imperial forces whose tactical performance had actually improved following Thrawn's death, suggesting that his strategic methods had been successfully institutionalized through training and technological enhancement programs that created lasting improvements in Imperial military effectiveness. The development indicated that his legacy would continue influencing Imperial capabilities through means that transcended personal leadership. Your investigation uncovered evidence that Republic victory at Bilbringi had revealed tactical capabilities that Imperial forces had developed for use against anticipated Republic responses, innovations that had been deployed experimentally while maintaining strategic reserves for future deployment under different circumstances. The encounter had served Imperial intelligence gathering purposes while achieving Republic tactical objectives. Commander Drayson's analysis of Imperial withdrawal patterns revealed systematic preservation of technological assets and personnel whose capabilities exceeded those deployed during conventional engagements, suggesting that Imperial forces had maintained strategic reserves while testing Republic responses to enhance tactics and equipment. The approach indicated preparation for future conflicts that would utilize capabilities exceeding anything witnessed during recent operations. The probe data contained intelligence suggesting that Imperial forces had achieved strategic objectives that transcended the immediate tactical situation at Bilbringi, gathering information about Republic capabilities and decision-making processes that would influence future Imperial planning, while providing insights into vulnerabilities that could be exploited during subsequent engagements. Dr. Tian's analysis of force currents following the battle revealed disturbances that suggested continued Imperial manipulation of cosmic energy through technological means, activities that maintain strategic advantages while operating beyond Republic observation or interference capabilities. The manipulations indicated continued Imperial research into methods for enhancing military effectiveness through mystical as well as technological means. Your team discovered that Republic casualties at Bilbringi included loss of personnel whose expertise would prove crucial for understanding and countering Imperial technological innovations, creating knowledge gaps that would handicap future defense efforts while providing Imperial forces with advantages resulting from Republic inability to anticipate or respond effectively to enhanced capabilities. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy described subtle changes in Imperial activities following Bilbringi that suggested implementation of new strategic protocols designed to exploit lessons learned during the engagement, activities that indicated adaptive response to Republic tactical methods while preparing enhanced approaches for future conflicts. The investigation revealed that Imperial withdrawal from Bilbringi had been conducted according to plans that preserved strategic assets while abandoning tactical positions, suggesting that Imperial command priorities focused on long-term objectives that transcended immediate battlefield considerations. The approach demonstrated strategic thinking that operated according to time frames exceeding conventional military planning while maintaining capabilities for extended resistance. Commander Drayson's examination of Imperial logistics revealed systematic preservation of resources and personnel whose capabilities would prove crucial for future operations, activities that suggested continued Imperial strategic planning despite tactical defeats. The resource management demonstrated preparation for extended conflict while maintaining technological advantages that could be deployed when circumstances favored Imperial objectives. Your analysis of broader galactic political developments revealed that Thrawn's death had created power vacuum that was being filled by Imperial commanders, whose methods reflected his analytical approaches while incorporating innovations that suggested successful transmission of his strategic principles to subordinate personnel. The leadership transition demonstrated institutional resilience that exceeded Republic expectations while maintaining Imperial capabilities for continued resistance. Dr. Tion's Force visions revealed glimpses of Imperial research facilities where programs initiated under Thrawn's direction continued developing capabilities that would eventually exceed anything deployed during recent conflicts, suggesting that his strategic vision encompassed preparations for future scenarios that extended far beyond immediate tactical considerations. The evidence suggested that Republic victory at Bilbringi represented successful completion of immediate objectives, while failing to address underlying Imperial capabilities that continued developing according to strategic plans that transcended individual leadership or tactical circumstances. The achievement created temporary tactical advantage while leaving fundamental strategic threats unresolved. Intelligence reports described increasing Imperial coordination and effectiveness in regions distant from Bilbringi, activities that suggested systematic implementation of contingency protocols designed to maintain strategic capabilities despite tactical defeats. The coordination indicated continued Imperial strategic planning that operated according to predetermined schedules while adapting to changed circumstances. Your investigation revealed that understanding the true implications of victory at Bilbringi required recognition that Imperial strategic planning operated according to principles that transcended conventional military objectives, encompassing goals that extended far beyond immediate tactical considerations while maintaining capabilities for extended resistance and eventual strategic advantage. As your analysis prepared to explore the long-term consequences of Republic victory and continued Imperial resistance, a sobering realization emerged from the evidence. The defeat of Thrawn represented elimination of one strategic genius while leaving intact institutional capabilities and technological innovations that would continue threatening galactic peace and freedom through methods that exceeded conventional military approaches while adapting to changing circumstances according to principles that transcended individual leadership or tactical considerations. In the quiet aftermath of galactic upheaval, as hyperspace routes gradually returned to their peaceful rhythms and star systems began the slow process of healing from years of conflict, the true measure of Grand Admiral Thrawn's legacy became apparent not in the battles he had won or lost, but in the fundamental transformation of how civilizations throughout the galaxy understood the relationship between art, consciousness, and the eternal dance of power. The Outer Rim territories, once scarred by Imperial raids and Republic counterstrike, now drifted in serene rotation around their ancient suns. Abandoned Imperial facilities slowly surrendered to the patient reclamation of nature, their durasteel corridors becoming home to creatures that had no understanding of the tactical genius that once planned galactic conquest from within those sterile walls. Vegetation crept through blast doors that had once protected the galaxy's most dangerous secrets, while crystalline formations grew in chambers where consciousness itself had been manipulated and preserved. On distant worlds where archaeological teams had once excavated force nexuses under Imperial direction, research stations stood empty beneath alien skies. The equipment remained functional, still humming with power that drew energy from cosmic currents that connected all living things, but the purposes they had served belonged to ambitions that time had rendered obsolete. Local populations gradually reclaimed these sites, transforming them into places of contemplation where the boundaries between ancient wisdom and future possibility seemed thinner than elsewhere in the galaxy. The new Republic worlds that had borne the brunt of Thrawn's calculated campaign began rebuilding with architecture that reflected lessons learned from confronting enemies whose strategies transcended conventional military thinking. Government buildings incorporated design elements that honored both security and openness, creating spaces where tactical necessity coexisted with democratic transparency. The reconstruction efforts demonstrated how civilizations could grow stronger through adversity while maintaining the values that made victory meaningful. Young Jedi students, training under Luke Skywalker's guidance on worlds where the Force flowed most clearly, learned to perceive the subtle currents that connected individual choices to galactic consequences. Their meditation practices incorporated awareness of how artistic expression revealed the deepest truths about consciousness and motivation, insights that transformed tactical analysis into spiritual discipline. They studied not only lightsaber techniques and force manipulation, but also the cultural traditions that revealed the psychological foundations of both wisdom and corruption. In the depths of space, derelict star destroyers drifted along trajectories that would carry them into the cosmic void, their hulls reflecting starlight that had traveled for millennia to reach them. These vessels, once instruments of Imperial dominance, had become monuments to the temporary nature of all earthly power. Their empty command bridges, where tactical genius had once calculated the movements of entire fleets, now served only as reminders that even the most brilliant minds were subject to the universal laws that governed birth, growth, and eventual dissolution. The Noghri homeworld of Honoghr experienced its first natural seasons in generations as Imperial contamination finally yielded to patient restoration efforts. The ecological recovery proceeded according to rhythms that had been established long before galactic civilization emerged from its primitive origins, demonstrating how natural healing transcended the artificial timelines imposed by political ambition. Children who had known only poisoned soil now played in gardens where native flora bloomed according to genetic patterns that connected them to evolutionary processes spanning millions of years. Former Imperial officers, scattered throughout the galaxy's commercial centers and frontier settlements, gradually integrated into civilian life while carrying memories of coordination and purpose that exceeded anything available through conventional employment. Some became teachers, sharing tactical insights that proved valuable for logistics and organizational management. Others found fulfillment in artistic pursuits, discovering that the analytical skills they had developed for military purposes could be applied to creative expression that honored beauty rather than serving conquest. The archives on Coruscant, now open to researchers from across the galaxy, revealed the full scope of projects that had operated in secrecy during the Empire's reign. Scholars who studied these records developed new understanding of how technological innovation and mystical tradition could be integrated without corrupting either domain. Their work contributed to philosophical frameworks that honored both scientific method and spiritual wisdom, creating synthetic approaches that transcended the artificial divisions that had characterized previous academic disciplines. Deep in the unknown regions, automated systems continued their predetermined functions in facilities that no living being would ever visit again. These installations represented the ultimate expression of strategic planning that extended beyond individual mortality, yet their activities served purposes that had been rendered meaningless by galactic developments their creators could not have anticipated. They stood as monuments to the limitation of even the most comprehensive preparation when confronted by the unpredictable creativity of organic consciousness. The Force itself, that cosmic energy that connected all living things in patterns too complex for any mind to fully comprehend, flowed through the galaxy with renewed balance as artificial manipulations gradually yielded to natural harmonies. The disturbances created by consciousness preservation technology and biological enhancement programs slowly dissipated, replaced by organic rhythms that honored both individual growth and collective evolution. As you drift towards sleep, consider how the galaxy dreams of peace while preparing for adventures yet to be discovered. The stars themselves serve as guardians of stories that span generations, each point of light representing countless worlds where beings learn to balance wisdom with power, creativity with responsibility, individual ambition with collective harmony. The eternal cycle continues, as it always has and always will, carrying forward the lessons learned through conflict, while opening possibilities that exceed even the most brilliant strategic planning. In this vast cosmos, where beauty and terror dance together in perfect balance, new chapters wait to be written by those who understand that true victory lies not in conquest, but in the patient cultivation of understanding that honors both ancient wisdom and endless possibility. Rest now, knowing that in the infinite tapestry of galactic civilization, every choice matters, every dream contributes to the great work of consciousness, exploring itself through countless forms and endless time. The stars keep watch while we sleep, and tomorrow will bring new opportunities for growth, discovery, and the eternal dance between light and shadow that defines all existence.